Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Naruto son of Yellow Flash and the Red Queen. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. I know all you people out there has heard some crazy shit, at least that's what Ichiro at the bun stand, off of Ichiraku told me. All my life my days were crap. Most of the villagers tried to kill me for Kami's sake. They call me a demon monster and all that fucking shit. And I think to myself as I take their daily beatings before the Hokage shows up, what the fuck did I do get this shitty ass treatment? So at the age of 6, I go asking the Hokage about this and told him everything that's happened after getting kicked out of the fucking orphanage, from the scraps I've been getting, to the assassinations where they stop after he and the Anbu shows up. That's when I think he thought, enough is enough, and hands me some paper that allows me to claim my inheritance and my family mansion. As he shows me around he tells me why. That being the Kyuubi that attacked on the day of my birth, who by the way is very why when she's out of the animal form and looks like a red-headed furry of my dreams, damn she's hot. Aside from that I finally get a mention as to who my parents are, Kushina Uzumaki, the Red Death, bitchin' title mom, and Minato Namikaze, my fucking father who sealed the Kyuubi within me, and the Yellow fucking Flash. But I'm a little understanding as to why. I mean the guy was noble. Who the fuck could ask someone to use somebody else's kid to seal that vixen in me? Not that I mind anymore. Evidentially I find my mother's katana. Apparently it has a safety mechanism on it, leaving the damn thing useless for the wrong person. Long ago after the Hokage took his job again, he was curious of my mother's sword and tried to unsheath it, but all he got was a hilt. But I surprised his ass when I opened it, and when I took it out of its sheath and there it was. The blade of how my mother got her name. The blade was humming with chakra with a red-crimson color. So for the past few years aside from the academy, I trained my ass off to make my parents proud, as both an assassin and a ninja. By the age of 15 and my last year as an academy student, I was confronted by the drifter who came to assassinate me. This cat, all well-dressed and cool, couldn't tell if he was the shit, or plain old shit that the assholes of the civilian council hired. Yeah, so he's stylin', fast, aggressive, and packing heat, bada bing. That is until this guy come up, some asshole who was an associate of my mother's. Both of them were part of this assassination. What's it? His name Tetsuyo Uchikami. He judged some of her rankings fight. Impressive. Now that you have killed him, you are now the 11th best hitman. Why don't you go for the 10 killers above you and aim for the top? Now I don't just want to be the Hokage, I want to be number 1. How's that? Detailed enough for you? It's gonna be a long hard road. Who knows, could kick ass, could be dangerous, and maybe it could totally suck. What I say people? Join me on my story, let's see how far we can take this. And those of you on your computer boards right now, just keep scrolling. Let the bloodshed begin. The tumbling rolls of a cart moves downhill of the road that leads straight to the academy, whereon could see the gates locked and guards in the front door. On top was a spiky blonde-haired teen riding the cart like a board down a slope, armed with his sheathed sword in his left hand. Various civilians and few of the clan heads were clamoring at the front gates. Earlier today the academy was taken over by an army of freelance ninjas, no affiliations, just mercs, and 5 of them that stood in the front gates. Only a few had escaped, that includes the majority of Chunin instructors, and the clan heirs. Oh man, this doesn't look good, Kiba said. You think, out of all of the students, we're the only ones who actually got out, Ino snapped. Hope everyone is okay. The Hyuga heiress Hinata stuttered. Just shows how weak they are, chances are they'll die, Sasuke simply stated before he walked off to the Uchiha. Hey you bastard, where the hell are you going? Kiba yelled at him. Sasuke stuck his nose in the air. I'm going home, and this isn't my problem. Ino was shocked to say the least, to see her crush just walk out like it was nothing. How can you say that? You're an Uchiha, you can save us from these guys. But the last loyal Uchiha, my ass, just walked off past the civilians, not even noticing them. Ino just stood there staring at Sasuke's retreating form. Forget it Ino, she turned to look at the Inuzuka heir. Despite your overly estimated fantasies of the guy being a knight in shining armor, he's just a selfish bastard that doesn't give a crap about anyone else but himself. Ino kept standing there, tears nearly falling out and turning to the academy with her thoughts mixed up about her crush, while the other heirs were looking at the Uchiha with disgust. Yes, even Hinata. Kiba with his sharp sense of hearing heard something fast and heavy tumbling as Hinata's Byakugan saw somebody riding on a cart downhill towards them. Everyone moved. Kiba yelled as Choji pulled Ino out of the way of the gate while Hinata moved and pulled a few civilians out of the gateway in process as a wooden cart busted through the gate slamming two of the mercs into a wall. The person who was on the cart jumped as his ride hit the mercenaries. He landed behind another two of the merc nins. Fuckhead. Their heads were lopped off making their bodies into blood fountains as the figure held out his crimson chakra katana in his right holding the sheath in his left. All of the heirs stood speechless as they recognized the blonde spiky hair and cerulean eyes. Naruto. The heirs thought as they looked at the clothing he wore. No longer the orange piece of shit jumpsuit. No, he wore blue ninja pants with a kunai holster on his right leg. A black t-shirt with the red swirl on his chest. A vest that was similar to the Junin or Chunin wear. Over it was a white overcoat with orange flames embroidered at the bottom and sleeve ends of his coat. Same face, but a near replica of the Yondaime. Naruto walked up to last merc nin clinging onto the door, like it was a safe haven for him, practically looking like he was about to shit his pants. "Hey, you know where Mizuki Teme is here?" Naruto demanded. The merc gulped and shook his head frantically. Naruto sighed, wrong answer. He sliced the nin through diagonally in half along with the door the dead man clung to in the building. He kicked the other one in to get through. He watches the ninjas that filled the hall armed with knuckles, swords, and various other ninja equipment they had. The 11th rank assassin could only smirk gripping his weapon. It's game time. He storms through blocking and parrying various hits and strikes. Naruto rolls to the side and starts to slash through one of them. As he gave the finishing blow, others thought it was wise to actually try and strike. Naruto on the other hand couldn't believe their stupidity as he cut through them in a bloody mess. Seeing them gone, he ran towards the stairs in the hall going through several baddies one at a time, each of them ending up in a bloody mess. Once he killed them there was one more at the stairs. This one had a chakra katana like himself. Both charged each other, parrying left and right. Strike for strike, blow for blow until they both end up in a power struggle pushing one another. In the end, Naruto came out victorious with the opportunity to kill off guard. And with a flip, the now dead merc was bisected. But as Naruto killed the guy, he could have sworn he heard in a whiny echo, "But I'm still a virgin." "Well, asshole, go fuck yourself in hell." With that he walked up to the second floor. Cue power cord. Upon entering the second floor he stopped by a chakra barrier in his way to his class where Naruto figured where Mizuki holed himself up. Without any other choice he entered the nearest classroom only to be ambushed by 10 mercs. One of them appeared behind him grabbing Naruto in a stranglehold. Naruto struggled as his captor tries to prevent Naruto from his breath. So Naruto thought fast with whatever oxygen he has in his head. Naruto stabbed his captor's crotch leaving the man a eunuch, for about 10 seconds until Naruto bisected him from the bottom up. At this point, something awoke in Naruto, and it wasn't from the Kyuubi. Strawberry on the shortcake. Naruto bellowed as his chakra katana had glowed into an even brighter crimson and grew into a bigger width. And in a matter of seconds he decimated them leaving the room to a bigger bloody mess. Then he came into two options, one being hacking through the walls and get to Iruka's room, or run along the outer walls and confront him there. Option 2 it is. He broke open the window and used his chakra to stick to the wall. Thanked Kami for those tree climbing exercises. Then out of reflex he caught something. It was a communication earpiece with a not saying to put it on. He did so and heard a voice, Tetsuyo's to be precise. "Hey Naruto, this is it, the final stretch to number 10. Hope you survive, but considering who your mother was, you may as well." Naruto felt that this was gonna get into a monologue. "Don't worry about it. Keep your mind on other things till you get there." "Look, sorry about the monologue, but this is standard procedure. As the challenger for the number 10 spot, I give you a motivational speech yada, yada, you get the idea. I can't take sides, but I can tell you a few things about him. Let's see, this guy is a Chunin. Of course you know that, with low Junin skills. Oh wait, there's more. Few years ago the guy went on a mission that prevented him from being a Junin. Some shit about a fellow Chunin's death. Here's the funky part. That Chunin was told to the med teams that the guy died from a leg wound which probably would have hindered the mission unless they left him. The actual reason that guy died was from strangulation. And the person who told that team was Mizuki himself. Well, that's all I know. Oh yeah, and there was also this thing between him and some snake-looking guy at that time. Don't know if they butt buddies or something. So as my final words of endearment, go for the gold. Beat him down like a bitch. Trust your force and head for the Garden of Madness. So, he's a traitor in short. And that thing with the snakes, that hot chick Anko comes to mind, but I don't see her and my so-called sensei. Wait, Anko, sensei, Anko's sensei, shit, the guy works for Orochimaru. Well, that motherfucker has another reason to die. With this knowledge and pep speech, he was walking near the window of his class, and from the looks of things, it didn't look too good for one of the students, a pink-haired one at that. Power Chord, add-in stamps. Sakura Haruno, bookworm and total Sasuke fangirl, still expecting her, Sasuke, to save the day. Well, that plan is fucked, because she was being cornered by a perverted merc on the chalkboard. Hey Mizuki, mind if I have some fun with this one? Sakura could only whimper as she looked at Mizuki for his answer. Sure, she's not even important, just cannon fodder, Mizuki smiled sinisterly. Sakura couldn't move due to fear as the thug's hand got closer to her, seeing that no one would even move to try and help her out, fear for their own lives. She could not turn away and shut her eyes as she waited for her horrible fate. Crash! The window broke and all she heard was a blood-gurgling scream. Hey Mizuki Teme, I found you, now prepare to die you bastard. Sakura knew that voice, that familiar annoying voice that had always constantly asked her out in the past and was always rudely rejected by her. Opening her eyes, she saw Naruto, out of that gaudy orange jumpsuit and in clothing that she only saw the Yondaime wear in pictures. On the ground was what shocked her most. Her attempted rapist was dead with the top half of his head removed from the jawline. So the demon shows his true colors, she heard Mizuki say, only for Naruto to chuckle, and was the one who allowed one of his former students to be raped. Mizuki could only scowl at the Yondaime look-alike. Besides, I'm just here for two things, to kill a traitor, and take your place as number 10. The number 10 assassin could only widen his eyes. You're ranked, but how, when? You can thank the civilian council for that one. If they hadn't sent helter-skelter after me, I wouldn't be the 11th best assassin in the elemental nations. Majority of the class was shocked that the civilian council who some of their fathers, mothers were on had actually ordered a hit on Naruto. For what reason would they try and kill the class doby? He may prank the village often, but that's no reason to send a professional killer after. And just to tell you, the Hokage is probably listening in on us as we speak right now, so even if you do survive this fight, you're a wanted criminal in the eyes of the village. They may be happy about me being dead, but not so much as you holding the students hostage in exchange for the forbidden scroll to sell it to the highest bidder, or is it your meeting with Orochimaru your reason for treason? How do you know all that? Mizuki stammered. Just some rumor going around, but you just confirmed it with me. The Bond shifts his head upward to the ceiling. Hey Hokage Ojii. Ya hear that? I'll try not to kill him for you, Anko, and Ibiki. Mizuki was seething. All of his secrets and affiliations were exposed by the brat he was itching to kill, and he'll get his chance right here and now. With a pop, the silver-haired traitor grabbed a giant shuriken that was strapped to his back and lunged at him with a slash. Naruto blocked it with the scabbard of his katana. He pulled out the chakra katana itself and attempted to slash at Mizuki, which only grazed him since Mizuki pushed away from each other. Mizuki couldn't believe that the brat in front of him had actually blocked at that. He had the lowest grades and statistics in the whole of the academy, so how could he be this strong? While the traitor was in his thoughts, they clashed with each other, hitting strike for strike, chakra against metal, getting Naruto racing with his thoughts. This is it, my first official battle, showing all these people not to fuck with me, proving them wrong of whom I am. Today is the day the idiot mask comes down. Naruto chuckled outwardly, infuriating Mizuki even more, provoking him to attack even more. I bet that those idiots are gonna have a field day after this. And after my lineage comes out, they're gonna be kissing my ass, showering me with expensive shit and such. Well, today is my time today is when I awaken, as the son of the Yellow Flash and the Red Death. Today, I won't take shit from anybody. Single quote. Mizuki came with a downward slash of his shuriken, with Naruto coming to an upper power slash to a power clash. Of course Naruto won, successfully breaking Mizuki's weapon in two. Even with my spares on my back, he'll come at me fast. Naruto sheaths his blade getting ready for a dashing slash. That's when Mizuki eyes someone behind him. It was Sakura edging her way to get out of the door. Perfect distraction. Mizuki shunshined front of Sakura, then grabbed her and tossing her to Naruto. Naruto saw her coming right for him, so he retreats his attacking stance to catch her. He caught her with his free hand, but she was going at him with so much force he was pushed back. Mizuki then came at them fast with a roundhouse kick, so to protect her from the blow he turned in front of her and took it in the back, pushing the two of them out of the third-story window. Sakura was screaming her head off cause she thought they were both going to die as they fell, and halfway her life flashed before her. All the friends she made and lost due to a silly crush. Every time she rudely rejected her savior Naruto with punch to the head when he didn't even deserve it. She cried knowing she wasn't going to have the chance to even apologize to him for all the wrongs she had done. That's when everything turned for the better. Feeling Naruto hook her legs with his sword hand, he used his chakra to cushion the fall for the both of them. He rolled to the ruined gates with Sakura still clinging onto him. As he placed Sakura on her feet, Naruto turned to Mizuki, who was looking at him with unbridled fury. Sakura was about to say something to the blonde, but Naruto beat her to it, facing her. "Save it, Sakura, we'll talk later. Right now, I got a traitor to punish, now get to the others." She did as she was told and running to her friend, rival Ino. With Naruto, he placed his hand to the hilt of his sword, and once again pulls it out, throwing the scabbard to the side. Both hands are on the glowing katana, raising it to a high defensive stance. Mizuki jumped out and threw his second Fuma Shuriken at Naruto as he went to try and bat it back at him in a power clash, only to be split in half as well. With Mizuki and his last Shuriken in hand, both were in a standoff, that is until Mizuki smirked. "Hey you demon. You wanna know why all these people hate you so much to the point of killing you?" Naruto quirked an eyebrow, thinking of how Mizuki will try to psyche him out. "Sure, why not?" Naruto spoke back with Mayuki taken back from the bored tone of his voice, but he still smirked. "Well, you know how the story goes of the Kyuubi being destroyed by the Yondaime. Well, it was a lie," Mizuki said, getting gasps from the populace watching the fight. One of the ANBUs in the crowd was about to execute Mizuki to prevent the truth from coming out, only to be stopped by a stranger he has never seen before. "You might want to hold off on getting him. I have a feeling you guys might want him alive. Plus I want to hear how Naruto is taking this." Naruto only looked at the man with a bored look on his face, and let me guess, the Yondaime couldn't kill it, so he did the next best thing and seal it within a child, that child being me. And so my generation doesn't shun me. The Sandaime had forbidden everyone else from ever mentioning about the Y-Vixen that's in my gut. Is that what you were gonna tell me, to psyche me out before you killed me to make yourself look like a fucking hero? Think again. I found out from Hokage Gigi after a mob tried to kill me again when I was 6, along with telling me of my inheritance. The traitor was shocked beyond all belief to hear that kid already knows of it. Goddammit. The brat was supposed to have been shaking in shock. And inheritance. Wait, what inheritance? You're an orphan. Come on, how long have you been a ranked assassin? You should recognize this weapon as its previous wielder was legendary, Naruto said, holding up the crimson chakra katana to his face. Mizuki's eyes widened even further as it dawned on him whose weapon that was. That's right, Mizuki Teme. This katana was how she got her ninja reputation, getting the name, the Red Death, for assassins. She was called the Red Queen, to friends. Kushina Uzumaki, to me, my mother. Naruto charged with Mizuki following the same suit. Naruto dragged his blade, creating an increasing fissure in the ground. Mizuki glided towards the blonde assassin with the spinning shuriken in his hand. Then blood was drawn. Mizuki's blood, to be precise. His shuriken arm flew off along with the shuriken on it, embedding it in the entrance wall. And not a second later, he started trembling, trying to feel his missing arm. His face became red in anger and charged Naruto once more with a spring-loaded knife in his right shoe. The hidden weapon was halfway of connecting, only for the traitor's foot to be amputated from his knee. Mizuki lost his balance and fell on his chest with his bleeding stumps still spurting out of blood. Come on, Mizuki, I suggest you concede. You have no chance in beating me at this point, and you're gonna be going with the Anbu, then end up in jail and or a body bag. You demon brat, you're just relishing in my agony, Mizuki glared at the teen. No, if it were up to me, I wouldn't leave your head intact. No, I didn't kill you because you got info that you will give to the Anbu one way or the other. Naruto said in a seemingly happy tone before Mizuki's blood loss sent him unconscious, allowing Anbu to prep him for some heavy interrogation. Everyone looked at Naruto, minds racing from what they heard about him. He could just only sigh before any of them could possibly get the wrong idea. Look, I know you guys might be afraid of me with Kyuubi and me, and all. But I'm not the fox. I'm just Naruto Uzumaki, only hoping to fulfill the Yondaime's wish as to being the hero of my home, in Konoha, which the majority of you decide not to listen and convince your kids to pick on me. The next generation of Konoha nins heard some of their gasps. And let me tell you guys, I don't care what you think, I'm not gonna take any more of you shit. Whispering, oh there's the Kyuubi, eat shit and die, and being your little target practice. Naruto glared at the civilians who were silent and shivering in fear of what he is willing to do now. But when they heard laughter behind them, they thought somebody among them was mocking the person that could easily be their deaths, that is until they heard a clapping applause with it. Well done Uzu, well done. The man who was applauding in laughter was in a business suit, black hair all slicked back on his head, with a briefcase to the side, and easily identified to be in his 20s. I have to say, the dismemberment was a nice touch, but if it were me, I would have just made him a torso, the businessman spoke. You got something for me Tetsuyo, Naruto groaned. Hey, ease up kid, just congratulating you and informing you that you are now 10th in rank. As we speak, the survivors are being returned to their homes and all the blood and gore left around is being cleaned and all the bodies are being disposed of as we speak. Tetsuyo explained, pulling some money out of his coat, and here is your money prize, 50,000 ryu, and with bonuses included. That comes to a total of 107,997 ryu. At this moment another Anbu poofed next to them. Pardon me Uzumaki-san, but the council wishes for your presence. Naruto just groans, alright I'll be there. Allow me to assist you, the Anbu offered, but he was cut off by Tetsuyo. Excuse me, but I'll take him to your council chambers. I have been asked to be there along with him by the Hokage himself. The Anbu nodded and poofed away. By now the civilians walked away save for 5 the 6 heirs and pink-haired civilian talking amongst themselves as to what happened and the actions of the last Uchiha, and how that is gonna bite him in the ass. And apparently the Hyuga heiress left for her home. Naruto, walk with me, Tetsuyo offered. The Uzumaki nodded, taking the offer, and exited the academy grounds to talk as they walked to the council meeting. Naruto and Tetsuyo entered upon the two councils, the clan council, in charge of the shinobi affairs, and the civilian council, those who take care of the civilian affairs, and the majority of them being responsible of the treatment of Naruto's shitty life for the past 15 years. Let me do the talking, this is gonna feel like a trial to get you executed, talk only when necessary. Within the front center are the Sandaime Hokage and his 2 advisors, Kotaru and Homura, among them as well was Danzo. Excuse me, but we specifically called for Naruto Uzumaki, who are you? Homura asked. Tetsuyo only smirked as he gave a gentleman's bow, Tetsuyo Uchikami, and I was called by the Hokage himself. I am Uzumaki-san's associate for the UAA, as well as a contractor for assassinations and fights, and a part-time lawyer. So if introductions are done, let us begin this meeting, shall we? Yes, let us begin why we are here in the first place. The Hokage agreed along with rest of the council members who nodded their heads. The first to come up was a fat council member who looked pretty smug about himself with financial status. Uzumaki Naruto, we have confirmed that you have killed a visitor to the Leaf over a year ago, is that true? And you had better tell the truth. Uzumaki just scoffed, I don't plead innocent on that one, but I can say that he was the one who attacked first. I just killed him in self-defense. And just to tell, neither you nor anybody here is in their right to demand anything from me. Are you telling the truth, Uzumaki-san? Said the fat councilman as he squinted his eyes at him as Naruto answered. Yes. Why do you ask, oh great fat man? Said fat man growled, because I say you're lying, you probably killed him in cold blood, you little demon. Excuse me councilman, but is this the man whom you are talking about? Tetsuyo asked in Naruto's defense, holding up Helter Skelter's photo. Yes it is, the fat man said confidentially with his arms crossed over his arms. I thought as much, so this little accusation is by no means viable for use, Tetsuyo stated. What do you mean? The fat man shouted in anger, only to be knocked down by a wave of killer intent. Everyone else felt it and the shinobi in the room trailed it to the businessman in front of them. He stared at the fat councilman who seemed to be having trouble to breathe. It looked like the man foaming at the mouth, going all red-faced. Then all of a sudden he started to breathe again. The fatty, not Choza, looked at the man. Wah, what the hell did you do? I may be a businessman, but considering where I work, I've had my share of kills in the thousands. What you felt was an aura of a man who has done such feats. To answer your exclamation, our assassins of the UAA are guaranteed to kill their targets, and as per UAA regulations, if the assassin assigned to the hit is killed, her position is replaced by the one who killed them or the assassin ranked below them if her killer does not accept. Thus made my client Naruto Uzumaki, whom I am paid to defend in this pseudo-trial because of your incessant stupidity to not see past whom he is jailing from killing you, put into our organization as the UAA's number 11, and as of over half an hour ago, our number 10 assassin. I am a nice person at heart, but I have no patience to those who get mad just because something doesn't go your way, Tetsuyo explained. You piece of shit, I ought to execute you right now for your insolence, shouted the council member pointing at him with his index. The room was silent. They saw Naruto and Tetsuyo look at each other chuckling and stifling giggles. May I ask, what is so funny? Another council member asked. We're just laughing at the man who nearly shit his pants to Tetsuyo-senpai here, then claiming that he could execute him when Tetsuyo-senpai said it himself that his kill count is in the thousands, Naruto explained. Tetsuyo stopped his chuckle and put on a serious face. Wild claims aside, I would like you to apologize and put down your finger, you foolish man, before I sever your digits and give it to you as an appetizer on a sushi platter. And don't take my words lightly, cause I will fulfill my claims and I will make you eat them, like it or not. As if you could do anything. We of the Civilian Council have the real power. Even the Hokage is under our control. The fat man cried hysterically. Excuse me, the Hokage spoke up. I'm under your control? That's right, you old fuck, the civilians are in control, you old fool, so suck on this. The fat man flipped the bird, laughing in the most annoying manner possible. Hokage-sama, may I have permission to punish this man? Tetsuyo asked. Granted. As those words left the Hokage's lips, the laughing fool saw his hand become a palm and started screaming. He looked at Tetsuyo and eyed his now gloved hand with some shimmering limes coming from it. Wires, razor wires to be exact. Anbu, take this man away to Ibiki, and give this to him. He'll know what to do. The Hokage commanded, handing the two Anbu that appeared a scroll before disappearing off. By now the majority of the Civilian Council was in hysterics. Hokage-sama, he can't do this. Of course he can, as he has my permission. I foresaw this coming and paid the man before you for the contract that was given to their former number 11. Imagine to my surprise that nearly half of my Civilian Council had signed for this. You bastard, we paid you your confidential fee. One of the guilty Civilian Councilmen yelled. You did, but you didn't pay for the full confidential fee. The Hokage outbid what you guys have paid me to keep quiet. So in other words, your contract was up for grabs for the highest bidder. Tetsuyo smirked. Didn't you read the fine print? By this time, Sarutobi was naming off the names who signed for this contract. Anbu, take the names I have called out to Ibiki. Now with over half of the Civilian Council members, things became quieter, but now most of them were scared shitless, with majority of them being Naruto haters while the others were neutral or supportive to Naruto. Let us come to the next item at hand. On the assault of Mizuki Toji, Danzo announced. Assault? Naruto questioned. With all due respect, that bastard Mizuki is a traitor to the whole of Hai no Kuni as well as a subordinate for Orochimaru, and allowed one of his men to go and try to rape one of the civilian students, a pink-haired one to be exact. How can you prove this? Danzo challenged. Naruto was about to say something until Sarutobi spoke up. What he says is the truth because I saw the conflict between Uzumaki and Toji. So I suggest you cease your attempts in slandering the boy. Sarutobi, you're obviously showing favoritism to the boy, Danzo countered. Unfortunately for you, Danzo-san, the lawyer spoke once more. I could back up his reasons. Explain. Danzo glared where Tetsuyo smiled, gladly. Tetsuyo stood straight as he cleared his throat. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to motion of Naruto Uzumaki's treatment within the village. When I first met the child after killing Helter Skelter, introducing him within the ranks, I took a look around his personal life and was appalled and impressed at his sanity control for his number of hospital visits to life or death situation. tolerance in crappy living conditions in where he used to live, and resourcefulness on his outdoorsy survival skills. Looking at his social life, he was charged for double to nearly triple the amount for his necessities at the grocery store where your average civilian and ninja was given regular prices for the same items. And I even noticed attempted sabotage in his school life. Genjutsus on his tests, rusted and/or blunted weapons on his target practice. Sent out class for absolutely nothing except answering questions correctly whenever Amino-san was out. I can go on and on about this. Especially it's about conversations for Naruto's "he's a demon" talks. Oh, and let's not forget the unauthorized watches of unfamiliar Anbu agents with the word "root" on their forehead. The Hokage raised an eyebrow. "Root, huh? I thought I disbanded that group Danzo." "Yeah, I even have a souvenir," Tetsuyo said, holding up Root members' head up. Looking at all of them, civilians councilmen that were opposed to Naruto's existence were shaking as they had done just that, while the Shinobi Council had various thoughts for the blonde's treatment. And what I can't figure is that why they don't think of their own kid's position. I bet they're thinking about that now since they possibly know already. "What do you mean?" said a conflicted Satoshi Haruno, who could presume the pink-haired near-rape victim mentioned was his own daughter. Another reason for Mizuki's treason: he let loose the village secret in a class full of next-gens, Tatsuyo answered. "I bet a majority of you are gonna get a talk from your kids." Everyone there knew they were going to have to do just that. Another one of the councilmen stood up to bring up the next item of the council. "The next thing we want to bring up is that sword you have, Uzumaki-san." "Yes, what about it?" Naruto asked suspiciously. "Where did you get that?" "It's a family heirloom from my mother's side of the family." "What family?" "From what we understand you are an orphan," Homura stated. At that moment, Naruto looked at the Hokage inconspicuously, who nodded in giving him the okay. "That family would be the Uzumaki clan of Uzu no Kuni," Naruto answered. "Impossible, there has been no record of that country in our records," Kotaro argued. "Excuse me, but I can argue against your own argument," said the local weaponsmith, Tenchu Higurashi, intervening this time, "because you see, that sword belongs to the greatest kunoichi since Tsunade, Kushina Uzumaki. I should know, me and my wife had help with that." Most of everyone there was surprised because they forgot about one of the most beautiful and deadly female ninjas to ever exist. And apparently the UAA lawyer knew her too. "Ah, Kushina Uzumaki, our ex-number-one assassin. Nice to see her son is attempting in taking her mantle as number one." This didn't please the civilian council at all. "You saying this, little duh?" The shimmer of wire from Tetsuyo's still-equipped gloves made him choose a different word to describe the blonde not wanting to wind up like the fingerless fat ass. "Brad is the son of Kushina." "Impossible. Besides her surname, they are nothing alike." "I would like to differ." Hiyashi, the Hyuga patriarch, had come to defend the boy's lineage, being the Namikaze Hokage close friend in the past. "From what I remember, Kushina had the same demeanor and attitude at his age." Inoichi, the Yamanaka clan head, spoke this time, nodding his head in agreement. "I concur with Hiyashi-san. While he may not have the same hair color, he does have her attitude, which does make me question who his father is." "If that isn't fucking obvious," Naruto said. "You will watch your words, Uzumaki, and show some respect," Danzo demanded. "Oh, don't worry, that wasn't to the clan heads, it was to you and the civilian council. Considering he shows up nearly every day encased in stone on the far right," Naruto retorts. "What are you talking about?" one of the civilians asked. Such a question caused the Haruno and Higurashi councilmen, as well as the clan heads, to groan, with the Hokage and Tetsuyo pinching the bridge of their noses in utter annoyance at the sheer stupidity of these civilians. "He's a Namikaze, you dumbasses!" shouted Sume Inuzuka. This got the civies and advisors to rabble about in opposition of this claim. Silence. Danzo commanded, much to Sarutobi's displeasure. "Naruto Uzumaki, for lying of your lineage, we demand that you give up your sword and expel you from the Ninja Academy." Then silence came as one thought came to mind. What the fuck is this guy thinking? "Tetsuyo, may I have the honors and papers?" Naruto asked, making Tetsuyo smile. "Hope you know what to do, kid." "Sure, go for it." Naruto took the stand and stared down Danzo with such seriousness no one has ever seen before. "Listen here, you old one-eyed fuck. I know you, along with the majority of civilians here, are out to get me. But looking at how you were eyeing me, I could say you're either a desperate man or just want me as your personal weapon for being a Jinchuriki. So let me get this clear to you guys, as I did with the villagers earlier today. I'm not going to be your punching bag. The mask comes off and I'm going to retaliate to the next person who attacks me, for it is within my rights as a person and as a clan heir. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of the Yellow Flash and the Red Queen, as my associate Tetsuyo calls her. This sword is the rightful weapon for me and anybody of Uzumaki blood. Even if you strip this weapon off me, you won't be able to get it to work, for, like I said, the wielder has to be of Uzumaki blood. So no, you can't give this to that pussy Uchiha. Show some respect for the last Uchiha, interrupted a council member. I'll show my respect when he deserves it, so shut the fuck up. That got him to quiet down. Now where was I? Oh yes. If you got any other problems, here's my parental documents signed by the daimyo himself. So if you or anybody else has a problem with me, you can just shove it. And being the last of my clan, I know I fit under the CRA Act. I know the rules for that. But if any of you try and force your girls on me, will be given a very severe ass kicking, and I swear to Kami-sama, her hotness herself will bring my father's vengeance to every one of you. Everybody was surprised, not only at his preparation, but also that very lengthy speech he gave to the council members. Everybody was practically speechless. Hiyashi. Definitely their son. Inoichi. Ino's probably gonna have to learn to share. The privileges of invading one's daughter's privacy. Sume. Hana's gonna like him and his dominant attitude. Oh, if only he were old. Wait, bad thoughts, bad thoughts. Tenchu. If Tenten's sword fetish is as bad as her mother's, then he will be in trouble. Satoshi. Sakura. Honey, I hope you're alright. Sarutobi decides to break the silence. Well, if no one has anything to object, I think this meeting is adjourned. Outside the council chambers, Tatsuyo could only smirk as he remembered the looks of surprise and shock to that damning piece of evidence at his lineage. Kid, prepare to have some major ass kissing for you, Tetsuyo warned. Hey, you saw them, senpai, Naruto retorted. So where are you going to go, Naruto-kun? Tetsuyo asked. Gonna surprise Hinata. You have fun with that. I'll go and hit up Fatty for his last meal in the IT division with Ibiki, Tetsuyo said, rubbing his hands together. Okay, you have fun with that. Naruto's sweat dropped. Hyuga compound. Hinata was in her room looking at her various pictures she's taken of Naruto in her scrapbook, holding some of the special pics for her private nighttime. Hee. Oh, Naruto, if only I can muster up some courage to tell you that I love you so I don't have to masturbate to you at night, Hinata said to herself in her loneliness of her room. Wow, I would never expect that from a shy girl who faints around me, say that, said a voice out of nowhere, earning a silent eek from her. She turns around and sees Naruto inches away from her face with a sultry grin from him upside down as he was standing on her ceiling. Naruto. Hinata stuttered, only to have her crush's index on her lips, her face glowing beet red. Calm down, you have a beautiful voice when you don't stutter, Naruto spoke to her before he pressed his lips to her, causing her stiffen up. Then he trailed his right hand to her ass cheek, giving it a squeeze, earning a squeal from the girl. That was for being the first and only one to be nice to me in all these years. I think that it deserves this kind of reward. Ooh, frisky, Hinata moaned, Naruto seeing the apparent lust in her eyes as she returned the favor. That's calling the kettle black. I knew there was a naughty side in you. Explains all the snapshots I've been hearing. Was that you, my Aroheim? And you are too smart for your own good for the past 9 years, Hinata retorted. You know that I'm fit for the CRA, right? Naruto told her. So I'm gonna have to share? Hinata pouts. Hey, that's the beauty of the Cage Bunshin, but you will always be my first, if you are willing, Naruto offered. Naruto Uzumaki, are you proposing to me to be your wife? Hinata huskily asks, giving him a kiss, sliding her hand down his pants, the first out of many. They continued like this, groping and talking dirty to each other for 10 minutes until they heard a knock on the heiress door. Sister, can I talk to you for a minute? It was Hanabi. I'll be right there, Hanabi-ni-chan, Hinata answered in a big sister voice before turning to him with wide eyes. You have to go, Naruto-kun. We'll pick this up later. Naruto came close again for a bruising erotic kiss, one for the road. Oh, and 2 quick questions. 1. Do you have MPS, and where do you want to meet me next time? Hinata's shy side coming up once more had answered. In a sense. Yes, I'll explain later, and let's meet up later after class. Naruto smiled. I stand corrected. You sound just as cute when you stutter, ya nay. With that the blonde maelstrom exited through the window, and Hinata brushed her currently unruly hair after her and Naruto's makeout session, then slid open her door for Hanabi. Hey Hanabi-chan, what do you need? Before Hanabi could say what she wanted, she smelled something funny. Nei-sama, what is that smell? Then Hinata just stiffened up. She forgot she came a few times when she had her fun with Naruto with his hands touching a few intimate spots of hers. Let's not worry about that and let the house cleaners get that and discuss what you wanted in your room. Hinata pushed Hanabi to her room and left a tag for the house cleaners to set up her room again. Few minutes later when the Hyuga house cleaner came by, she could only sigh as she smelled the scent of and observed the dampness on the futon in the heiress room. That girl really needs to jump that kid, and fuck him senseless with that pent-up libido she has. She proceeded in cleaning the room before giving a finishing lavender touch freshener that usually kills most odors. Anbu torture chamber. Warning. These next paragraphs will have elements of the Japanese movie, Machine Girl, with the sushi scene. Have not seen the movie, but I have seen the trailer and it looks way too hardcore for me despite writing this part of the story. Normally within the Anbu offices, there is usually nothing to do except for paperwork and torture being the main source fun of the ANBUs. But this time was different as they were watching the fat councilman who had said too much and from that, was missing his fingers from his right hand from the man who was with him. Tetsuya Uchikami, dressed like a sushi maker from a sushi bar. Beside him was a cart draped over by a cloth. On top was a small bucket of sticky rice, and platter with strips of seaweed on top. Beside that was a small bowl of water. The UAAX killer, now lawyer and contractor, was whistling a happy tune as he molded several small packs of sticky rice on top of strips of sushi as he drank up the sight of the restrained man struggling in fear in his chair. Ibiki, who was among the spectators outside the torture room, was impressed and slightly disgusted at the same time to what Tetsuya was going to put the man through before killing the fat fuck. When Anko came along with her afternoon torture session victim who was whimpering like crazy, she saw several ANBUs and Ibiki looking through the two-way mirror of the torture chamber she was gonna put her next victim in this afternoon. Hey Ibiki, what's going on? Ibiki smirked. The fat ass from the civilian council actually was stupid enough to insult the Hokage when he finally grew some balls, not heeding the guy's warning in the council meeting. Okay, I can understand the fat fuck, but what about the sushi man? Anko questioned, making Ibiki's grin to grow wider as he pulled out a tape recorder and handed it to Anko. You might want to listen to this. The purple-haired snake lady grabbed the recorder and listened. Wild claims aside, I would like you to apologize and put down your finger, you foolish man, before I sever your digits and give it to you as an appetizer on a sushi platter. And don't take my words lightly, cause I will fulfill my claims and I will make you eat them, like it or not. As if you could do anything. We of the civilian council have the real power. Even the Hokage is under our control, the fat man's voice cried. Excuse me, the Hokage's voice spoke. I'm under your control? That's right, you old fuck, the civilians are in control, you old fool, so suck on this. The fat man's voice went to his annoying laughter. Hokage-sama, may I have permission to punish this man? Tetsuyo asked. Granted. Then the delicious screams that entered her ears told her the rest as she looked at her victim. It's your lucky day. Looks like I'm playing hooky and torturing your ass. The ANBUs not watching took the now happy mumbling gagged victim to his cell as Anko opened the door to the torture room. Tetsuyo saw her. Excuse me, who are you? Anko was about to answer if she wasn't interrupted by the bound fat man. She's the snake whore of Orochimaru. A bitch that shouldn't. The man's words were rewarded with a boot to the head, causing him to slam onto the floor. I wasn't asking you. Now I want you to apologize to this woman you call a whore, before I serve you a bloody cocktail and have you die only half the man than you barely are, Tetsuyo ordered. The fat man whimpered as he quickly apologized. I'm sorry, I won't call you that ever again, please forgive me. Anko was drinking this up so much, she felt like she would get drunk off of this sight. Call me Anko-sama. No way, you foo. Then a blender buzzed as the fat man paled. I'm sorry, Anko-sama. Please forgive this lowly worm, Anko-sama. Anko felt like she was in love with the man in the sushi garb as he grabbed a cooler from underneath the sushi cart. Looking at her once more in a polite tone. Now, I ask again, miss, who are you? Anko Mitsubishi, second in command of the IT division under Ibiki. I see, nice to meet you. Tetsuyo Uchikami, ex-assassin, UAA lawyer and contractor. The UAA? Anko asked. The United Assassins Association. I think you have our former number 10 in one of your cells, Tetsuyo explained. You mean Mizuki? That's him. Anko smirked. She liked this every minute, and she heard how Mizuki was beaten, resulting him missing an arm and a leg, by that academy brat, Naruto. But with Mizuki being a ranked killer in an association she would have loved to be in, this was just too much. So why are you here? He questioned the snake woman. Oh, I heard what you were doing and I wanted front row seats, Anko answered. Tetsudo smiled at her. At least someone is looking for this, fatty. The fat man could only grumble while the sushi chef pulled out his fingers and found Tetsuyo cut them up to 13 pieces by the knuckle. And place each one of them on the sticky rice piles before sealing each of them with the seaweed wrap. After doing so, he placed them decoratively to look like the plate was giving its diner the finger. Well, eat up. Tetsuyo smiled sweetly as he freed him. As soon the lock clicked open, the fat man got up and bolted, only to have his legs severed cleanly by his kneecaps, whereas Anko almost got up until she saw the shimmer of wires coming from Tetsuyo's gloved hands. The poor man was trying to crawl away, whimpering in each crawl. Hey there, I just finished making your meal, you should sit down and eat. Tetsuyo threw him by the collar back to his seat, almost knocking him over in his seat. The guy looks up at Tetsuyo and takes a piece with a trembling hand, bringing it to his mouth. Outside the Anbu were gagging, looking weak in the stomach. Several were looking green, while others had left to the nearest available trash can to empty the contents of their stomachs. In all the years that Ibiki has been in the torture business, never seen anything that grotesque or cruel for that matter. Well, for the most part at least he's not making the guy eat his own shit, Ibiki said as several members nodded in agreement. They listened through the intercom. You're done already. Tetsuyo spoke in a surprised tone. You must have really enjoyed it, he said, clapping his hands together. I'm glad your taste buds had an enjoyable ride. 'Cause this is your last meal. What do you mean? The fat man questioned. Oh, you honestly don't think that you would live after that old fuck comment you gave the Hokage earlier now, did you? The guy was now whimpering. PP please, don't do this. I'll give you anything, money, women, drugs, anything. Cried the fat guy. Tetsuyo gave the man a disgusted look. Man, you're pathetic trying to bribe me out of this, but I'm a nice man, so I'll play a game with you, but only because you're so pathetic. And in mere seconds the guy was tied in a compromising position with his stump on his crotch and the hand to his neck. You have two options. One hand will leave you less than a man you are, and the other will simply mince you to pieces. With that, Tetsuyo called Anko over, who was inwardly laughing at the man's predicament, and left the fat man to his own devices. As they exited, they found Ibiki with a hand over the bridge of his nose, shaking his head. You are one fucked up motherfucker, you know that, man? Yeah, I know. They look back into the room and sees nothing but wire and bits and pieces of meat and gore. Yeah, you guys might want to get a cleanup crew here, Tetsuyo says, looking at Ibiki before turning to Anko. So you want to get sushi, my treat. Ibiki turned green and bolted to the nearest bathroom at the mention of sushi. Anko couldn't help but laugh as she took up the guy's offer. Later, a janitor with an Enbu mask came by the used torture interrogation chamber and saw the blood and guts. God, they don't pay me enough to do this. Midnight, within the forest of death. A random man was running frantically through the forest, running for his life. Why? Because some was chasing him, as one would see the chaser's silhouette hopping through the trees. The man kept running. It's not gonna get me. It's not gonna get me, he chanted repeatedly. Unfortunately, his mantra failed when a kunai struck him in the back of the leg, behind the kneecap, causing the guy's legs to buckle and fall. He saw his assailant get closer and closer. In his panic he pulled out the kunai with a pained grunt and got up in a hurried limp. He looked back to see it out of his sight. The guy stopped, thinking his assailant was gone. Yes, I lost it. Escaped the weeping assassin. He laughed in his triumph. That is of course when the weeping assassin appeared in front of him and passed through and behind him in a running crouched position with the right hand pointing downward. Before the man even knew it, his chest exploded in a bloody mess, leaving a frozen expression on his face, and a red gaping cavity in his chest. As it stood up, the assassin looked at the dead man's lifeless eyes as the silhouette looked at him with a tear from where its right eye would be, giving it the name. The weeping assassin. For every victim it kills, it dares to shed a tear for its victim. It's been several months since Naruto ascension to number 10. Revelation of his family name, but few were still skeptical of that. Along that some well-deserved time with Hinata, who was revealed to be his fiancée thanks to an agreement by both of their fathers. Let's not forget the final exams he passed with flying colors, assigned to Kakashi's team with Sakura and Sasuke. Much to his dismay, Kakashi and Sakura he could handle. It was Sasuke that he had problems with. The emo says he could do it on his own, but he was proven wrong, stubborn as hell. Even when he and Sakura offered help during the survival test, the Uchiha wouldn't give in and all that shit. But despite all that, they passed, barely, and gone on plenty of D-rank missions, including catching the fire daimyo's wife's cat, Tora, about 10 times already since the first 2 weeks of being a genin. But aside from the normal missions, he also went through some assassination jobs for making number 10 through Ichiro from Buster Buns a few blocks from Ichiraku's. Naruto was told that more missions like this will pop up as he rises through the ranks. It wasn't bad as some of these actually pay so and so per kill or just for the entirety of the mission, that and it helps to pay for the rankings fights. Oh, and let not forget Sasuke having the gall to actually even try and demand Naruto's katana from him after laying eyes on it for the first time, as well as demanding who trained him. This pretty much happened nearly every day. Along that time, while the Kyuubi stayed a secret to those that were there to hear it during the Mizuki incident, Naruto's clan name of Namikaze came open to the public, thus putting him into a new light. He received a lot of ass-kissing from various villagers with free items and gifts, while several tried to force their daughters upon him, where in response, got their fathers and some mothers a severe ass-kicking like he promised to the civilian council. Apparently they didn't the message at the meeting. Naruto wakes up in the master bedroom of the Namikaze mansion, going to his closet to grab his clothes on. He wore a modified version of the overcoat from what he wore kicking Mizuki's ass. While the clothes he wore underneath were the same, the coat was merely a black jacket with white wisp marks that formed into a fox. He looks at himself from a full-body mirror, putting on his headband on his left arm, speaking his thoughts out loud, badass. Reaching to the side of the mirror, he grabs his katana, twirling it between his fingers a bit before attaching it through a belt loop to his side. As he walks down to the stairs and to the kitchen, Naruto, looking on his counter, spies a pile of mail for him and shuffles through it. Let's see what we have for me today. Shit, more shit, come to me if you want an appointment, the association. Opening the letter from the association, it read, Dear Mr. Namikaze, your position as the 10th rank assassin allows you for the opportunity to face number 9. To do so, take the form in the back, sign it, and please place this as well as 150,000 ryu in the nearest bank to advance within the ranks. UAA contractor Tetsuyo Uchikami. After taking the form to sign it, Naruto also spies another piece of mail from a year back. It was the will of his old sensei, who taught him just about everything he knows about the way of the sword that the blonde combined with his freestyle swordplay with. While he has yet to complete the request, the mention of his sensei has Naruto to remember the harsh, rigorous training he's done for the past. It's been too long, Jacob sensei. Flashback, 5 years ago. A 10-year-old Naruto could be seen swinging around a wooden sword, swinging in sloppy katas. Instinctively, he threw the sword behind him, only to be caught by a chocolate-skinned man topped with puffball shape of hair on his head, wearing a white headband on his head, traditional samurai garbs, and he held a 1.5-foot long katana in his right hand. You trained your instincts very well, but your swordplay needs proper training, said the man. Who the fuck are you? Shouted a suspicious Naruto. Such language, but I suppose it's my fault coming unannounced. Just call me Jacobs, introduced the intruding samurai. Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto introduced to the stranger. Uzumaki? Then you know Kushina Uzumaki, right? Jacobs asked. Yeah, she's my mother, Naruto replied. May I speak to her? She's dead. Jacobs frowned. Oh, I'm sorry, do you know where your father is? Same as her, Naruto answers once more. Then who takes care of you? Just me, and the Hokage when he comes by to give me money for supplies and stuff. Not like that even matters, Naruto says in a sad tone. Why? Jacobs asked. Why would you care, you don't even know me? Naruto retorts. Then in exchange would you like to know me? Personal info for another's, Jacobs said as he sat down. From then on, they sat and shared their own tales and personal lives. Jacobs told Naruto of his history, from the foreign lands from where he came from, to his old friends, family and his only daughter Shinobu. In exchange, Naruto told the samurai about his history, the hatred he suffered, and his only closest, precious people. But whenever Jacobs heard more and more of Naruto's hardships and its reasons why, the more he got angry, which didn't go unnoticed by the blonde. Please don't go after them for my sake. If you do, then you would be proving them right for me allowing you to kill them. Jacobs calmed down and stared at this blonde enigma. You speak a lot of wisdom, yet you are so young. As a person, I am once again impressed, but as a parent I should be concerned. No child should ever exist with such control and wisdom in a good child like you. That's why I want to train myself. Even if they don't accept me, I will prove them wrong to show them as Hokage, that I am not the demon that is sealed within me. Jacobs stared at him once more for a few seconds, then busted out laughing, offering a hand to the blonde ninja in training. Here, how about I help you with your dream? Let me help you get strong and learn how to use your sword. Needless to say, Naruto had accepted Jacobs' offer and trained under his tutelage. Even after the dark-skinned samurai left, Naruto still trained in Jacobs' training method every day until his bones cracked, then come back to train even farther. End flashback. The will said if he died, Jacobs wanted his only daughter, Shinobu, to be taken care of by his only other student Naruto, should he be alive. I hope I can find Shinobu someday, for Jacobs-sensei, that and she sounds like a nice girl that I would like to meet, Naruto said to himself before digging into the instant ramen he cooked up. Looking on the wall clock in the kitchen, he saw the time. Ah shit. Okay, quick drop by the village bank and then to the team. With that he bolted out of there after inhaling the rest of his ramen to meet up at the bridge with his team. Hokage Tower. Well Kakashi, we have a couple of D ranks for your team and… Fuck no old man, Naruto interrupted the Hokage. Naruto, Sakura looked at him sternly. Sakura, we've already gone on like a crapload of D-rank missions that would be enough to get us like 2 maybe 3 C ranks for us. As much as I hate to admit, he's right, we need a tougher mission, Sasuke agreed. But Iruka was less to allow them a mission. Look, I don't think we can allow you a mission higher than D because we got a system. Iruka-sensei, I know all about the system, and like I said we have done enough D ranks for a couple of C rank missions, Naruto argued. I'm beginning to be convinced at Naruto's logic, Kakashi agreed, so if it's not a problem, I would like to request a C-rank mission for my team. The old Hokage sighed, fine, but let me call in Kurenai for a joint mission, no doubt she might be requesting for a C-rank mission as well. The door opened with Team 8 in tow. Hokage-sama, my team is ready for a mission, Kurenai announced. Ah, good timing, I was about to call you anyways for a joint C-rank mission with Kakashi's team. Kurenai looked at her team as well as Kakashi, as both teams looked rearing to go. We accept, Kurenai answered. Very well, bring in the client. The door slid open revealing an old man with a straw hat on his head who apparently was drunk if the bottle and red face didn't say anything about him. Tazuna, these two teams are here to accept your mission to escort to the Nami no Kuni. Sarutobi announced to the client Tazuna, who looked a little skeptical about the kids behind the Junin. HMPH, besides the Junin, the kids don't look much, and the blonde looks like some wannabe ninja. Tazuna was about to take a swig until he found a crimson humming katana, though his sake bottle near pointed at his nose, seeing the said blonde behind the glowing katana. Trust me old man, I'm no wannabe, so watch what you say when you're not at my level. Naruto warned him, withdrawing the glowing blade, splitting the bottle horizontally, catching the bottle-turned cup, taking a swig at its contents. Sake from Wave. Not bad, but I prefer Kumo's, theirs has that little zing. Naruto, threatening the client isn't good. Kakashi scolded Naruto, who defended his actions saying, hey, I warned the guy, not threaten him. Everybody sighed while Hinata giggled at her boyfriend's actions. Well, Naruto's actions aside, pack up your supplies and meet at the West Gate in 10 minutes. Kakashi announced with a skeptical look from his team. Hey, I'll be there on time. I'm not late for everything you know. Right, Kakashi-sensei, whatever you say, Sakura said, still skeptical of Kakashi's claims. West Gate. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke were dumbstruck. Well, I'll be damned. Kakashi-sensei is on time. Naruto broke the silence with their teacher in hearing distance. Hey, that hurts, Kakashi deadpans at his students. Well, they wouldn't be talking to you like that if you actually be there at the time you tell them instead of 2 hours later. Kurenai tells him as Tazuna arrives with a perfectly good bottle of sake at hand. So what are we standing around here for? Let's get moving. Kiba gave a slightly unamused frown as everyone followed the bridge builder. Okay, this guy is really getting on my nerves. Shino nodded, agreeing with his canine-like teammate, with Akamaru yipping in agreement. Yes, but we have a job to do, so stop complaining, Hinata told them before running off to Naruto's side, giving him a little peck on the cheek. Is it just me, or did Hinata do a 180 in her personality? Kiba asked Shino. Kiba, you need more training at reading masks, Shino answered, leaving a confused Kiba. What mask? Nami, high border. It's been practically half a day since they left Konoha for Nami no Kuni, hitting the border of the two countries. They decided to set up camp when it hit dusk. After dinner provided by Hinata and Naruto from a few of the woodland creatures and herbs found within the forest trail. After dinner Naruto got up. Naruto-kun, is anything wrong? Hinata asked. Oh, nothing, Hina-chan, just taking care of some personal business, Naruto answered. Hinata smiled. Okay, just call me if you need anything, and I mean anything. The words caused a few reactions, Kiba choking on his food, Sakura and Kurenai looking at the two funny, Tazuna and Kakashi giggling at the innuendo, and Sasuke looking confused with naivety. Truth be told, the business was more than just draining the lizard, but he noticed a carrier pigeon with a note attached to its leg. Dear Number 10, Number 11 is headed your way with the challenge you accepted. UAA contractor Tetsuyo Uchikami. Before they left, Naruto saw a carrier pigeon outside his house saying about a fight from the new Number 11. So he wrote the when and where the fight will take place, the perks of being the challenged versus the challenger. He came back to the campsite hearing Sakura and Kiba asking about the Land of Waves. That is when they heard footsteps coming from the trail. The ninjas armed themselves as their guest revealed his face. Peace ninjas, I'm just a traveler looking for someone. He looked like he was in his late 20s, wore a gray sleeveless shirt where the sleeves looked like they were torn off, black denim pants with tribal prints running along them, neat spiky black hair, and on his back was a rounded guitar, black where the strings showed and white on the back. Sorry to scare you, but I was just traveling around looking for somebody, and that's when I saw the fire. So I thought that would either be him or a charitable group willing to share their fire with me. The man laughed at them, looking at him strangely. And you are who? Kakashi asked. The man smiled, just call me Gita. They spent a good while talking as Hinata handed him a plate of leftovers they had when Tazuna asked him a question. So, who are you looking for anyways? The man named Gita looked up towards the moon and exhaled a breath he seemed to be holding. I only hear rumors of him. Some who survived against him calls him the lost prince of our queen. Gita explained, with Naruto looking at him more suspiciously than the others when the man before them stands his hand on his guitar. So I ask among you, which one of you is Number 10, so I can take your place? His guitar ejected a blade, making it a guitar axe, slamming it to the ground for emphasis with enough force the shockwave extinguished the campfire. This man, what is he? What is that power he has? Maybe if I say if I'm this Number 10 he talks about, he could make me stronger, Sasuke thought. Naruto, being the only 10th ranked UAA assassin there, was about to reveal himself when Sasuke stood forth. I'm Number 10, fight me, Sasuke Uchiha. Gita squinted at the last Uchiha as said Genin drew a kunai while Kakashi was telling him to back down, which was ignored. The 11th assassin walked towards Sasuke, looking at the teen straight in the eye with said person quivering in fear. You are Number 10. Yeah, so let's go, Sasuke replied, only to widen his eyes feeling the man plant a foot in his gut, knocking Sasuke off his feet into a nearby tree. Kid, I know you ain't Number 10, for one. You can't take a kick of mine. Sasuke groaned, getting up. Second, you're just a kid, and third, you don't have that bloodlust of a killer like me. Suddenly he felt such bloodlust that made him shiver in anticipation. He turned to the nearest source and found his eyes stuck upon Naruto's line of sight. Everyone else had turned to where Gita was looking and found him looking at Naruto, much to the surprise of the Genin and Tazuna, but not so much as the Junins being briefed on Naruto's position as an assassin for another non-affiliated organization. Naruto pulled out his katana, making Gita go into a wicked smile, a huge grin filling his face. Gita, is it? I. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. In the true Number 10. Now if you will, I found a place nearby for our fight. Gita followed with the others following as well. Kakashi having to carry Sasuke, who was still winded from that kick he got. Following Naruto, the blonde led Gita to an open meadow where the rest of Team 7 and 8 stood by the woods. "So you are the lost prince of our former queen," Gita said, holding his axe like a guitar. Naruto said, "Hey, just be prepared to at the hands of a teen," as the blonde held his katana in a defensive position. "Well then let's begin." With that the match started as Gita played a power chord, shooting a small shockwave that Naruto saw and dodged, which impacted to a tree, shattering it to splinters. "Close, that attack is gonna be trouble," Naruto thought. "H-A-A-A-A." Number 11 cried, charging, swinging at Naruto with his axe. Clashes sounded with Naruto's blade. Gita spun for his final combo strike and Naruto swore he saw a flash whilst blocking the attack, which proved to be ineffective for as the weapons touched. The shockwave of the guitar axe blew Naruto away. "Naruto-kun!" "Nope," shouted Sakura's and Hinata's thoughts watching the fight, worried for his life. "Dobi won't be able to beat him, but he's lasting longer than me. What the hell has he been doing?" Sasuke angrily thought, gripping his hands. Naruto got up to his hands and knees, using his sword to prep him up. "I'll admit, you are much better than Mizuki Teme was. In fact, I could say you could be a challenge, even for an 11th ranked killer." I appreciate the compliment, but that man only got his position from shooting himself up with drugs, if I remember hearing. He was pathetic," Gita replied. "Well, I'm glad I took him off the rosters." Naruto dashed to the guitarist Axeman with fast combos of slashes which were blocked but were causing the man to flinch at the strikes. Mid-combo, Naruto delivered a roundhouse kick to the head, putting Gita into a temporary daze. Tossing up his katana, Naruto wrapped an arm around the guitarist's head, bringing him over Naruto's shoulders, hooking the other around No 11's legs and spun around him before slamming the guy into the ground head first on his back, catching his katana as it fell. Gita got up, feeling a headache coming, looking at the swordsman before him with focus and fury as he smiled like a maniac. "Bring me more, O Prince." He jumped, bringing his axe for an overhead slam to Naruto's position, where Naruto saw that flash again. "I'll have your head, number 10. And instinctively hopped a ways back, now looking at the resulting crater before him, knowing that could have been him. "Let's see you dodge this." Gita held his guitar once more in a playing format, bringing his hand over neck strings and sliding it down to the base of the guitar, increasing the volume of the screech it made. In Naruto's and everyone else's vision, scratchy copies of Gita surrounded the young assassin, and with a battle cry and a power chord the copies collided to Naruto, creating a 10-foot crater. But the black-clad blonde was nowhere in there. He looked up and found Naruto falling down to number 11 with his katana ready to slash him in two. Thinking quickly, Gita grabbed the neck of his guitar once more and swung it over him, then dug it along the grassy ground and sent a shockwave to Naruto with some of the clotted dirt and stone, which was blocked and sliced through and came closer to Gita even more. So in a desperate attempt to survive and kill his opponent, the man tried to bat the blonde swordsman with his axe by the blade. This set a power clash between the two, with auras of bloodlust and chakra battling each other for superiority. But Gita felt himself being pushed down as a red cloak of chakra surrounded Naruto, watching his chakra katana begin to cut through the guitarist's instrument. The axe was split in two, followed by severing his right arm. But Naruto didn't stop there, spinning to the left to a thrust to the heart all the way to the hilt. Gita spit up blood as the sword was unsheathed from his body, forcing him to kneel, holding himself up by what was left of his axe. He looked at his severed arm along with the second part of his axe, then at Naruto, watching the red aura fade as he sheaths his katana, but not without any side effects. As it showed, Naruto now stood few inches taller and looked at the red tips of hair that adorned the spiky golden blonde mop of hair. Gita chuckled before hacking up even more blood. "You definitely are the lost prince. No, I have a new name for you." Gita dropped his weapon and looked up to the night sky, shouting to the heavens, "Hear me now, all assassins and killers out there. The Red Queen's legacy is alive." He pulls on the new hole in his shirt, ripping it open to reveal explosive tags on the underside of the makeshift tank top. "The Crimson Prince is among us." The tags flickered on fire as Naruto walked away towards his team, not before hearing the dead No 11's last words, "Reach for the top, my prince, and become our Crimson King." Boom! The explosion incinerated the guitarist to pieces as Naruto walked away to his teammates and client. "Naruto, are you okay?" Hinata asked with Sakura in tow behind her. Yeah, a few kinks in my joints, but I'll be fine, Naruto replied, but right now, I need some well-deserved rest. But as he started walking to the campsite, he felt all eyes on him. Okay, why is everyone staring at me? Well, besides you not being affected by killing the guy, I have to say your new changes, Tazuna answered. First of all, I killed a guy when some bastards ordered a hit on me nearly a year ago, and secondly, what changes? Naruto replied. Sakura answered his question looking away from him blushing, giving him her compact from her kunai pouch. He took it and looked at his reflection from the mirror illuminated by the moonlight and saw his changes. The red-tipped spikes. Pupils became slightly slit like a fox, and his canines looked a little more presentable. He only thought one thing looking at the mirror, flashing his teeth with a smile once more, bitchin'. I'll say, Naruto-kun, thought Kyuubi in her human form with her tails wagging around liking what she is seeing, licking his lips. So that was your doing when I was in your no-tail cloak, Q-chan, Naruto thought to her. Guilty as charged, but I only upped some of your mother's genes in you. The eyes and teeth are only a bonus, Kyuubi explained. Well, I like it, makes me look more feral and badass, Naruto replied. I say it makes you look why. Kyuubi added, her demonic hormones going into overdrive, making Naruto practically feel it. Well then, I guess we have a bunch of things to ask, but for now let's get some shut-eye, Kakashi said, encouraging everyone to sleep. Along the way, Tazuna went to Naruto to ask, hey kid, he called you the Lost Prince, what did he mean by that? My mother was #1 of the assassins in the elemental countries of the Assassin Association I'm part of. Upon reaching the top, she received the title as the Red Queen. I'm just trying to live up to her legacy, Naruto explained to his client. I thought you wanted to be the Hokage, Kiba said to Naruto. There's nothing wrong in doing both. Besides, it adds to the resume, Naruto replied. The next day, the group kept walking to Tazuna's port village. Sakura and Hinata were talking amongst themselves about Naruto. Naruto himself walked next to Tazuna fingering his katana. Sasuke walked behind Tazuna and Naruto, glaring holes into the blonde for stealing his thunder last night against the musical assassin, with Shino and Kiba behind the Uchiha to keep him in check just in case, instructed by Kakashi and Kurenai, skeptical of Sasuke's psyche, and said Junins walked in front of them to check for incoming hostiles. They kept walking until they passed a puddle. The majority of the group noticed it and felt that it was out of place. By now, everyone was on guard except for Kiba, bit unaware of the surroundings, relying on Akamaru to help. Sakura, mind on other things, and Sasuke, still smug of himself. Naruto still had his hand on his katana. These guys can't be serious, Naruto thought before he stopped, falling behind the group. Naruto-kun, what is it? Sakura asked, causing the group to stop walking and eye Naruto, seeing he was looking back. You guys go ahead, I got to take care of something, Naruto answered before walking off the path and taking to the trees. Kakashi and Kurenai saw he probably knew about the ambush coming up. Wonder what that was about? Kiba asked, to no one in particular. Hinata used her Byakugan to see where Naruto is going, but her attention was ripped away by the puddle they passed earlier. She already noticed but didn't when they were going to strike, apparently it was now. Two men came from the puddle, mist ninjas, the demon brothers Gozu and Mizu. The one with the black cloak launched his camo-clad brother via blade-chained gauntlets, looping them around Kakashi and Kurenai. They pulled and tore the two Junin into shreds from their chains. Kakashi, Kurenai-sensei, Sakura and Kiba cried. Two down, said Mizu said as he aimed for Tazuna, as Sakura got in front of him with a kunai, with Shino throwing out a wall of his insects. Hinata thought fast and glanced at Kiba, who got message and threw the shuriken to hold the bladed chain, and Hinata threw her kunai in the hole of the shuriken, locking it in place. The two struggled until they saw it was futile, so both unlocked their chains, with Mizu noticing Sasuke and aimed for him, who froze in fear. But at the last minute a yellow blur grabbed Sasuke out of the way, but his savior did not come unscathed. It was Naruto who saved Sasuke, much to his digression, standing there with his sword unsheathed, his right arm bleeding from the scratch from Mizu's claw. The mist nin swiped with his claws and Naruto blocked each swipe. Gozu, seeing his brother struggling with the blonde, rushed toward the combating pair to join Mizu. Seeing that he was going against the other twin, Naruto decided to make a twin of his own via use of Kage Bunshin. These guys probably have some useful info, so knock 'em out, Naruto shouted to his clone. The demon brothers slashed from both sides where the Narutos ducked and gave them both a fist in the gut. Sidestepped behind them and held the two in a suplex and slammed them on their heads, knocking both out due to a painful concussion. Very good Naruto, as well as everyone else, but Sasuke, I thought you would have reacted faster. Maybe the events from last night still got you shaken up, Kakashi said as he and Kurenai came from the trees. But why? Sakura was about to say something until she saw not a pile of meat and gore, but a log shredded in splinters. Kawamari? Sakura asked her sensei, by which he nodded. Kurenai looked over Genin. Is everyone alright? Naruto raised his hand. Just a scratch, nothing too bad. Do you realize that the demon brothers use poison in their weapons? Kakashi asks as Naruto pales in realization. Oh Sanofa, relax Naruto, you can bleed it out or search these guys for an anti-venom. Squelch. Kakashi was interrupted by the sound of blood and flesh being opened by something. That something this time was Naruto's own kunai digging into the wounded arm, bleeding out the poison. I was going to say stay there so I can frisk them, Kakashi stared. Ah, would have taken too long, besides, I heal fast, Naruto replied as he bled out the rest of the poison as Kakashi sighed and went to interrogate the demon brothers. And like he said, the wound sizzled closed, not even leaving a scar, courtesy of Q-chan herself. Well, with Naruto's well-being aside, Kurenai spoke up, turning to Tazuna. Mind explaining to me exactly why you lied to us in our mission details? I don't know what you're talking about, Tazuna stammered. Tazuna-san, after they tried to take out Kakashi and Kurenai-sensei, they went after you, Shino argued in monotone. And with evidence presented by the bug user, everyone looked at the drunk. Alright, I'm sorry, but there wasn't anything I could do. Our village is in a state of poverty that we couldn't even afford a B-rank mission. We barely got off with a C rank. So who's the tyrant? Sasuke asked. It's Gato of Gato Industries, Kakashi answered. So I'm willing to guess that's the pudgy fuck that's sucking your village dry of money and resources that you could barely afford anything or even sell? Naruto asked bluntly. Tazuna nodded and taken back from Naruto's smile. Well then what are we waiting for, let's overthrow a tyrant. Naruto, wait minute, you can't be serious? Sakura argued, causing Naruto to turn to her. This mission is practically a rank, there's no way we could do this, we've got to turn back. Sakura, you got me. You and 4 other Genins plus 2 Junin senseis. I think we may be qualified for this, maybe even more, Naruto argued. Hold on Naruto, while you do make a good argument, Sakura does as well, so I say we put this in a vote among the Genins. In the case of a stalemate, we go back to the village. Kakashi intervenes. At this moment we have 1 vote for each, so the judgment goes to the others. Shino was the first to speak. I agree with Sakura-san at this point. No offense Naruto-san, but I'm only anticipating the worst. 1-2. Next was Sasuke. I say we keep going. That way I can find my chance to take the Dobi's sword and finally kill my brother. 2-2. Kiba. I say we go. Can't stand to see these people suffer cause we didn't bother to help. Akamaru yipped in agreement. 3-2. And finally Hinata. I say we go. We're ninja and we were hired to help this country, so that is what we will do. That and I will get to spend more time with Naruto-kun. Well, that settles it, we'll continue the mission, Kakashi says to Tazuna, who could only smile in relief. And if that boy's skills are like last night's, then we might just have a chance. With that, they head towards the rowers' point where they will cross the river bordering the wave village. Hey Tazuna, these the ninja that's gonna help out. Yeah, so come on, let us cross. Hey, sorry, but not with this many people around. I can probably get you and the kids or the guy in the broad, but I'll have to come back for a second round, explained the rower. That's okay, we'll walk, Kurenai replied, ignoring the broad comment. But how? The rowers stopped talking, watching Kakashi, Kurenai, and Naruto walking on the water. Kakashi quirked an eyebrow with everyone besides Hinata looked at him surprised. Naruto-kun, you know water walking? Yeah, learned it after tree climbing after finding a scroll on chakra control, Naruto answered. Sasuke once again scowled. How does the Dobi know all these things that I and Uchiha the elite don't know? The rower could only nod. Well, that solves that problem. Anyone else? No? Then let's get on. After a slow pace and a nice sight at the in-progress bridge and a speech of how it's going to take care of Gato's reign, they finally reached the shore to the village and granted good luck to them. Once more they walk on the final stretch to Tezuna's village as the fog rolled in. Kiba this time being more alert since the demon brothers' ambush heard some rustling in the bushes and threw a kunai there in said bush. Everyone being on high alert had armed themselves or stayed on guard as Kakashi peeked through the bushes and found a frightened snow hare with the kunai barely missing the poor creature. Sakura pounded on Kiba's head for almost killing the poor thing when Kakashi noticed something out of place. This rabbit still has its winter coat. It's spring, so that mean this house kept. Someone used this as a kawamari. Hitaki heard something come their way. Get down. Kakashi tackled Sasuke and Shino down with Kurenai getting Kiba, Akamaru, and Sakura as Naruto brought Hinata down. Above them that would have taken their heads off was what Naruto recognized as the Kokubori Hocho. If that's here, then. Naruto trailed off watching a man in gray camo pants, arm and leg warmers, bandages covering his face, and a slashed mist headband. Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the mist, Kakashi said aloud as everyone stood up. Zabuza smirked under the bandages. Kakashi Hitaki, the Sharingan warrior. It seems my reputation precedes me. Sharingan warrior, Kakashi-sensei has the Sharingan. How? Is he an Uchiha or? Sasuke's thoughts trailed off as the missing mist nin spoke once more with Kakashi pulling his headband for his famed Sharingan, and Kurenai Yuhi, the Genjutsu mistress. Two of the famed elites of Konoha. It seems you two picked a few of Greenhorns. Naruto smirked. Be careful who you call a greenhorn, no brow. The nickname slightly irked the Kiri nin. Cuz out the genin in this group. I'm the killer here. Naruto warned, whipping out his chakra katana. Seeing the young genin pull out his weapon, Zabuza eyed it for a few seconds. That sword, why does it look familiar? Zabuza shook out of his thoughts to speak his demands. Cocky kid you have there, Kakashi. You should see him when he gets serious, Kakashi replied. Enough banter, look, give me the old man and no one besides the old man will get hurt, Zabuza demanded. I don't think so, replied Kurenai. Genin, protect the bridge builder. Surround him. Naruto rallied as the genin took suit and circled the bridge builder. Kid's a born leader, but I don't think that will be enough, Zabuza said, pulling out his sword and charged the genin, only to be stopped by Akakashi's kunai as Kurenai shot some of her kunai at Zabuza for support fire. The mist nin pulled away to charge once more as he was stopped by Makibishi spikes. You think some spikes will stop me? I have other tricks up my sleeve. Kakashi kept an eye on the other masked man while Kurenai looked towards the genin and found that Zabuza got past their defenses and prepared to kill all of them there with his sword. The one in front of Kakashi melted into water. Mizu Bunshin? Zabuza was prepared to strike, only to feel a silent presence behind him and felt a blade pierce his back and through his chest. It was that crimson katana the red-tipped blonde pulled out. But to everyone's surprise, it didn't spurt blood from its wound but water, and revealed it to be another water clone. Impressive, I guess you did have the right to boast about not being a greenhorn, spoke Zabuza's voice out of the thickening fog where he could only see himself. 7 weak points in the body, heart, neck, throat, spleen, larynx, and spine, it spoke once more, and by the last second Naruto blocked an incoming strike from behind. It forced him off his feet, feeling the force hit his body. You're a good kid, so how about a proposition? Zabuza offered, clearing the fog slightly to reveal the man standing on the lake. Leave Konoha and join me as my tool. I could use a fellow swordsman as a tool. Naruto could only sneer at him. Sorry dude, but I'm aiming to be number 1 in the Hokage, and seriously, I can't do that if I'm nothing but a figurehead. So you can shove that offer right up your ass. Your loss, Zabuza said as he started forming a series of hand signs. Seeing this through the thinned mist, the two Konoha Junins there charged at him in the lake, which soon proved to be a mistake. The jutsu Zabuza was about to pull off wasn't an attack, but an imprisonment technique, water prison jutsu. Soon the water from the lake shot out and captured Kakashi and Kurenai in a sphere of water. The genins were worried seeing their senseis captured, and Sasuke was feeling it the worst next to Sakura. Sasuke with his kunai had his weapon brought up to his face. Sasuke, calm down. This might seem unbearable but deal with it. Don't go into the temptation of killing yourself or you won't be able to kill that man you rant on aimlessly about, called out Naruto's voice. Hearing this calmed the Uchiha a bit but still had him wonder how they are going to get them out, until Kakashi had called out to them, "Go run. Zabuza is too much for you, even you Naruto. Don't worry about us, just run," Kurenai cried. "Sorry Kakashi-sensei, but remember what you told us, those who disobey the rules are scum. But those who abandon their friends is worse than that, right?" Naruto said, keeping his ground. Hinata, who was wavering a bit, found newfound strength and regained her stance. Sakura found herself breathing easier, as well as Kiba, who almost went unconscious, and then Shino felt revived as he too was faltering under Zabuza's killer intent. "Kids, just leave me and save yourselves," Tazuna begged. Naruto could only smirk. "No way, old man, we said we were doing this mission, so we're going to complete this. You had your chance, brats, now die," Zabuza yelled as he summoned more water clones after the genin. Naruto stood in front of them and charged to attack. He got quite a few as they splashed back into water. Eventually Naruto was pushed back into blocking. "Give it up, kid, these water clones of mine have 1/8 of my original strength each," Zabuza taunted. Another clone attacked where Naruto met it with a block. When the block parried the strike, Naruto slid to its side and stampeded with a multitude of strikes. The finishing blow decapitated it, though that kill set something in him again. This was different from the time he beat Mizuki, Blueberry Cheese Brownie. Hearing this, Zabuza could only say, "What the fu-wo?" He barely dodged some red ball that sliced through his clones in one hit. Naruto had his katana in an underhold and gestured an upper slash and blew out another ball after ball, slicing the clones in multitudes of directions that filled the combat area. "That kid, what the hell is that kid?" Zabuza asked outwardly. "He is Konoha's unpredictable, entitled Crimson Prince of Assassins," Kakashi answered. "The Crimson Prince, that kid?" Zabuza questioned. Naruto finally turned to the missing nin and charged his katana, then released, "Fuck you." This was bigger than the others the clones were hit with. To save his own life, he let go of his hostages and water shunshined out of harm's way. Kakashi took stand on the water while Kurenai went to Naruto's side. "Damn that brat," Zabuza panted from the near miss as he reappeared few ways off Kakashi. "Zabuza, remember, you still have a fight with me." "Come on then," Zabuza taunted as he began to go through a series of hand signs. And before he knew, the Sharingan-wielding Kakashi followed suit. "That damn monkey, he's copying me hand for hand," Zabuza thought as they both finished. "Sweeten. Suiryu Enden." Then two massive dragons of water twisted around each other and cancelled each other out. "Bastard, he anticipated what jutsu I would use. Well, let's see him anticipate this," Zabuza thinks as he once more goes into another set of hand signs and watches Kakashi doing the same exact thing. "That damn monkey is doing the same thing," Kakashi finishes Zabuza's thoughts. "Is he reading my mind?" Kakashi mocks once more. Suddenly he finds a hollow image of himself beside Kakashi, copying each and every hand sign before the real man even physically had done it. "He's doing it faster than I can even get to the next sequence. Kakashi, can you see the future?" "Yes," Kakashi answered. "And your future is death." He finishes his sequence and aims it at Zabuza. "Sweeten. Great whirlpool." As the jutsu is named, a giant whirlpool as tall as him blasted at the missing nin and washed him away into several dozen trees, drenching him in water. And now, Kakashi's next line was interrupted, as 3 senbon went through Zabuza's neck. The missing nin's eyes widen and go blank. "Well, your prediction came true, his future was death," said a feminine voice above them. As everybody ran to the site of Zabuza's death, as Kakashi checked for a pulse, he found none. "Thank you for weakening him, I've been trying to take him down for weeks," said a Kiri Hunter nin. The ninja wore a decorative mask with a blue kimono on their person whose hair is set in a bun. "Hey, why, after you get the head, why don't we meet up with each other later?" Naruto called out to the ninja. "I'm a guy," said the boy. "That's not what your hips tell me, after all. The hips don't lie, girl," Naruto wooed, shaking his hips. Everyone looked at Hinata to see how she would react as he tried to woo the female hunter nin. The Hyuga heiress giggled at her boyfriend's antics. "How about if I help you take off the head?" Naruto offered. No, that's fine," the female hunter nin stuttered as she went to grab the body. "You sure, we're not squeamish?" Naruto offered once more. The hunter nin said nothing as she grabbed Zabuza and tried to walk away as fast as she could. Taking his chakra katana, he threw it at Zabuza's head. Sensing this, she immediately disappears in a splash of water, but not before seeing that it shredded a piece of clothing off the girl. Picking up his weapon and sheathing it, he spies the piece of the ninja's garment. Taking the cloth, he takes a small whiff. Yup, definitely a chick, lilac perfume. Suddenly his sight started to multiply until he fell over into unconsciousness. Naruto-kun, Sakura and Hinata cried. He's going through chakra exhaustion, but knowing him he'll be fine with a good night's sleep. Now someone carry me please, Kakashi explained before spinning in a bit of a daze. Why? Kiba asked. Kakashi fell over as Kurenai answered the Inuzuka's question and picked up the scarecrow. He's going through the same thing. Here, Tazuna offered helping Kurenai pick up Kakashi. The family cabin isn't too far. Few miles into the forest, the hunter Nin had laid Zabuza's body on the forest ground using some ninja tools to pick out the needles from his neck. Then he grabbed her wrist as she got close to his uncovered face. Geez Haku, you're like a butcher when you try and fix me up, Zabuza commented showing his shark teeth. But Zabuza-sama, I have to get needles out precisely, Haku replied. Zabuza grunted as he pulled out the last senbon from his neck. You have to be careful Zabuza-sama, or you really will die, Haku commented. Saw you get your ass handed to you by the kid and his katana, said a heavy accented voice from the behind the tree near Haku. Turning their attention to him as he reveals himself, you can see his face and easily tell he's in his mid-late 50s, thick red spiky hair topped his head. He was topless, only wearing black jeans with his bare back revealing a red demonic Oni tattoo with 2 skulls on his chest trailed by a blue designed background that connected with the demon on his back. In his hand was some metal contraption which he held by the handle. What the hell are you doing here, Death Metal? Zabuza demanded. Gato was pessimistic, so he sent me to see if you killed the bridge builder, replied the redhead, and I can see that he was right. Hey, that kid is no normal genin, Zabuza defended himself as Haku tried to lift him up. I know, he's like me, and that's one of the reasons he's here, Death Metal replied as he starts to walk away back to Gato's base. The hell do you mean he's like you? A kid like that is a ranked fighter like you? Zabuza asked. Death Metal stopped as he looked back. Behind me. He's only 10th in rank, since I'm 9th in rank. You can figure out the rest. If memory serves, his name is Naruto Uzumaki. The previous number 11 was killed by him. Number 11 had called him the Crimson Prince, son of the Red Queen. That sword he holds was hers. The Red Queen, why does that name sound familiar? Zabuza asked out loud. To the Assassins Association, she was known as the Red Queen. To ninjas like you, she was known as the Red Death. Death Metal explained, striking fear into one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. Anybody worth their gall on a sword have heard of that woman. Rarely anybody who faced her as an enemy doesn't come out alive. As Death Metal walked back to Gato's base, Haku and Zabuza stood frozen. If that boy can do that much to you and is 10th in rank, what can someone in the next rank up do? Haku, for once, I can feel myself trembling in fear. Zabuza admits to his tool finding if no one was a hostage in back there, he would be a dead man. What the fuck am I paying you for? Yelled the pudgy dictator Gato. Apparently when Zabuza and Haku got back, their employer had heard about Zabuza's defeat. And hearing it was to a mere teenage ninja lower in rank than what Zabuza was before his defection. You're supposed to be the demon of the mist. But now I finding that hard to believe that since you were practically beat by some fucking kid. Zabuza lay on his bed provided by Gato's expenses. Currently his wounds were still a bit of a pain but not as worse as it looked thanks to the meds from Gato's hired medics, but not as much as the bitching that Shortman was giving him. It wasn't his fault Gato, so quit your whining, Death Metal said out of the opening of Zabuza's window with his leg on the still holding his metallic object. Gato in his current blaming rant yelled at the 9th assassin as well, and you could have finished all those brats off easily, so why didn't you take your chance, or am I going to have to pull the plug on our little deal? Death Metal just glared at the grubby multi-billionaire causing Gato to freeze up. First of all Gato, a UAA contract is non-negotiable when it's active, so unless I die, you still have to pay, and you don't want to cross a contractor like him. Secondly, you shouldn't doubt my ability. You're paying me for Tazuna's death and that's what I will do. And third, Death Metal's weapon unfolded, twisted, and extended into a large curved sword lit up with an orange chakra beam along the edge. You are in no position to tell me off with such empty threats. That bridge will ruin your control and shipments from this village. And I highly doubt you want me to fail. Okay, you little shit. Gato looked scared as he faced Death Metal's own giant cleaver pointing at his face and gulped, quickly facing to the injured missing Nin. And you, Zabuza? I expect you to kill that old man, or I swear to you. Gato reached for his face, Zabuza waiting for him until Haku dashed and gripped the tyrant's wrist until crunch. Gato yelled in pain as she broke his wrist before letting him go, pushing him back to his garage. Try and touch Zabuza-sama again, I will be keeping that arm. The glare she gave had Gato's guards to try and take her with their swords. They reached for the hilts only to find it missing until they felt the blades on their necks. No way, I couldn't even see her, thought one of the swordsmen as Haku stood in between them, poising their swords at them. Gato could only growl as he stared at the event. Damn it, fine, I'll play by their rules, but in the end, I'll have the last laugh, and that frosty bitch will make a great addition to the brothels. Come on boys, let them be, we'll talk later. Gato left with a grin out of their sights. Zabuza, Haku, and Death Metal watch the tyrant walk out of the room as Death Metal stands and walks off as well. Zabuza, Haku, be wary of him, he's up to something. Zabuza nodded as the spiky red head shuts the door behind him with the swordsman of the mist looking at his tool. You know you didn't have to do that, Haku, I could have done it myself. Zabuza pulled off his covers revealing a kunai hand. Haku could only smile as she went and treated more of her master's wounds, but at the same time, she couldn't but notice herself remembering that red-tipped blonde she barely escaped from placing her hand on the hole in the shoulder of her hunter kimono. Tezuna's house. Naruto groaned, fluttering his eyes, finding himself looking up at a wooden ceiling. Aw man, what the hell happened to me? Then felt something drenched below the waist. If I pissed my pants, I swear. Naruto thoughts trailed off as he tried to feel the front of his boxers as he apparently found himself pantsless. He stopped feeling around once he felt his hand on something soft and firm, and it was no erection. He gave it a curious squeeze and he swore he heard a feminine moan on top of him, only now noticing the extra weight, 2 squishy mounds on his stomach, and the soft, styled blue hair lying on his chest as he gave a smile. Hinata. Eyes widened as he just noticed as he still gripped her ass, she was naked. He let go and Hinata groaned in disappointment, lifting her head and blinked to let out the sleepiness from her eyes. Naruto-kun, said Hinata in a lusty fashion as she gave him a kiss, adding a bit of tongue into the action. So my Aroheim, you came out just to take advantage of me in my sleep? Naruto said, returning the favor. If you just stayed asleep for a few more minutes, I would have had my way with you. Hinata pouted with puppy dog eyes. Naruto couldn't help but blush as she climbed up to him as she buried her naked C-cup breasts in his face, remembering this was the perverse side that lusted after him 24/7 out of the 3 sides of Hinata completing her MPS. On the second or third date, he couldn't remember when, she explained about her multiple personality syndrome. It started when she was 3, few weeks after her sister's birth, when her mother had died from complicated issues. After her mother's death, her mind shifted to a stumbling, stuttering, shy state. The doctors had said that it was due to strain from birthing Hanabi, but over the years, Hinata thought otherwise after she got over her shyness issues. After the chronic shyness was over, she shifted between her normal self and the shy side at the age of 10, sometimes at the most inconvenient of times. This of course added to the concern the clan elders has for her in being an heir, besides her views in changing the clan laws. One of them in particular has her very disturbed, but she said she would talk about that at another time. Then after hitting puberty and curiosity killed the cat as she used the Byakugan looking into the boys' bathroom. Let's just say, that was the second reason she was shy around Naruto, adding that she went through her father's private stash of icha-icha. She awakened her erotic state. It took her father and several Junin branch members to hold a crazed, drooling Hinata down from running to Naruto's apartment and raping him in his sleep. Inoichi had helped to get out of her frenzy by Hiyoshi's request, only to come out with a nosebleed and a rowdy night later with the wife at the Yamanaka residence. Now Hinata had certain control over the 3 sides, the shy side coming out at appropriate times when she could help it, and the erotic side filled with nightly fantasies and masturbation. Snapping back to his present thoughts, he could feel his first girl grinding her soaked pelvis over his stomach with her nub bumping in and out of his belly button. Hina, I know you're horny, But we need to focus and save our first night later, so let the normal you come back and I promise, I run you raw at our first night. Naruto bargained, receiving a white pout with innocent-looking eyes. You promise? Trust me, I never go back on a promise, Naruto said confidently, receiving another steamy kiss from her as she slumped on his chest. Lifting her head once more, he finds an amused and exasperated look on his girlfriend. She tried to rape you again, huh? Hey, I can't help it if I look so inviting to her. In fact, the fact that your erotic side would go that far would make taking you all the better, the foxboy grinned. Hinata got off of him and went to grab her clothes little bit from the futon. As the Hyuga heiress went to grab her lavender-colored panties, he had a good view of her drenched pussy. Must be really frustrating since her arrow side prepped her up already. Hey, Hina-chan, you know with you bent over like that I could really ravish you with my face on your ass, Naruto commented. As much as I would love you to do that, but we need you to eat something other than my pussy, Hinata convinced. How long was I out? Naruto asked. 20 hours, close to a day. You passed out yesterday after those chakra blasts you shot at Zabuza, Hinata explained before giggling. But remind me again, what did you call that mode? Blueberry cheese brownie, Hinata giggled, once more slipping her panties on. Naruto couldn't help but blush. He remembered the names he shouted out for his dark side mode as he called it. Okay, I get it, for something do deadly. The damn mode has a cute name to it. If it were up to me, it would be ramen themed, Naruto mumbled at his girlfriend, who couldn't help but laugh at his embarrassment. And then the door opens, revealing Sakura. Hey Hinata, is Naruto up? Yeah. Sakura just froze, looking at Naruto's and Hinata's state of undress, and blushed before falling unconscious. Naruto and Hinata looked at her unconscious form a bit before fully dressing into their usual attire, with Naruto leaving his sword on the futon he slept in. Naruto goes to prep Sakura up, slinging her arm over his neck. He turns to Hinata and says, "So, how far do you think we pushed her?" "I think that was farther than the first day when she wanted to talk to you," Hinata replied. "I remember when I sucked on that spot her neck, and I swear she creamed her panties, if my Byakugan hadn't showed me anything," adding the way she shuddered did. "You're just a horny bile minx, aren't you?" Naruto grinned at her, with Hinata smiling, while on the inside, shy, Hinata couldn't help but blush like a tomato with erotic Hinata drooling at the thought of their man and the many women that would be with them, dominating the others, locking them up in chains as she whipped them on various sensitive spots, and having them call her mistress while she's fucking her man as the alpha wife while they lick her like the bitches. "Yo Hinata, come on, everyone is waiting," Naruto called out, snapping Hinata out of her thoughts that her erotic side shared with the original personality. Hinata followed her fiancé downstairs as Naruto was explaining to Kakashi, who was in crutches, the reason why the now awakened Sakura screamed, though a slightly altered story of course. "Well Naruto, now that you are awake, I have some bad news," Kakashi announced. "Zabuza is alive, right?" Naruto answered. Everyone just stared at him, including the tall black-haired woman who he was informed was Tazuna's daughter, Tsunami. "How would he be alive?" Kakashi-sensei checked for a pulse, Kiba asked. The young swordsman looked at Kakashi, who just nodded to him. "The hunter nen that killed him used what kind of weapon? Anyone? Naruto asked. "The hunter nen used senbon needles. What's your point, Dobi?" Sasuke said, getting a bit annoyed. "Come on. The last Uchiha can't figure out a simple answer as this?" Naruto taunted as Sasuke reacted by slamming his hand on the table he was sitting at, jolting up with Kurenai holding him back down. Kakashi decided to answer for Naruto. "Sasuke. The ninja used senbon needles, which doesn't do much damage unless you aim for vital points in the body." Sasuke calmed down with realization as Shino spoke up this time. "I see, and since needles is mostly used for clean kills or acupuncture, she most likely put Zabuza in a death-like state." Hinata already figured this as she remembered from some of the medical scrolls she went through for various reasons. She found that there were various spots where one could be declared dead then revived later on. With this type of knowledge, she asked Shino, knowing she could trust him, if she could practice this with her family-style Jiyuken. While the reaction was short-term, Shino had felt weak for a few hours after draining some chakra from the various animals in their training area. "So you're saying that she was hiding somewhere in the area, and when Zabuza was close to death, She used Senbon to hit him in the exact points in where Zabuza would be put in a death-like state, giving him a chance to recover if she was able to get him out of there in time. Sakura said, reviewing the events and possibilities that had possibly happened. She may not be strong, but when it comes to the brains of the team, she fits the bill. Kakashi thought proudly of his student. Correct, Sakura, but considering the damage me and Naruto exhausted on him, we would have about 5 days, said a voice. Everyone trailed the source to the door of the kitchen. Naruto immediately knew who it was. Tetsuyo. I could presume you're here for me. Yup, Death Metal saw and accepted. He's scheduling your fight 5 days from now. By then he said that Zabuza will be up and ready. The UAA contractor informed him. Excuse me, but would you tell me who you are and why you are here? Tazuna demanded. Tetsuyo clapped his hands. Oh, I'm so sorry. Where are my manners? I'm Tetsuyo Uchikami, bowed the man, UAA contractor and lawyer here on official business with my subordinate here. Excuse me, Kakashi said, calling for Tetsuyo, but how do you know of this? I'm sorry, but such information cannot be revealed unless you pay the price, smiled the contractor. Naruto explained the situation. He knows because he probably set up the contract with Gato with Death Metal, is this right? Tetsuyo could only smile. I won't deny nor confirm this information without the proper persuasion. Get out, Tazuna demanded, but was stopped by Naruto. Don't try Tazuna, his reasons aren't personal, just business, trust me. Death Metal has been here probably when you were out to get this mission. Naruto explained once more before turning to Tetsuyo, so where am I to meet him? The fight will start once you get to the bridge. He vows not to harm anyone until you are there, Tetsuyo informed him. Once Naruto nodded, he noticed somebody was missing. Hey, where's Sasuke? He went upstairs, Tsunami answered. Naruto's eyes widened, then he growled, he didn't. Naruto rushed to the room he slept in. All they heard looking at the ceiling where the second floor was were some quips, struggling, socks and punches, glass crashing and thud that was heard outside. Coming out of Tazuna's cabin, they found Sasuke groaning with his back to the ground and Naruto above him with his katana at hand. You son of a bitch. I told you, no, all those other times you demanded from me. Even when I told you it will only work for me and my family, and if you tried to steal it from me, I will kick your ass. I'm an Uchiha. Groan. Only I deserve a weapon like that. Groan. Not some clanless son of a whore. Now you will tell me how you turn it on and give it to me. I need it to avenge my clan, the Uchiha demanded as he stood smirking confidently. Unfortunately for Sasuke, the insult to Naruto's mother pissed him off so much they could hear his knuckles crack. And before they knew it, Naruto went and punched the last Uchiha in the nose, hard enough it broke and he was bleeding profusely with his nose bent to a degree. Everyone there thought he deserved it. And despite Kakashi being the sensei, he thought that Sasuke deserved it too, knowing he just insulted his sensei's wife. How dare you? I'll have the council force you then, and after that, the Hyuga girl of yours, Sasuke said, trying to intimidate Uzumaki. The next thing he knew, he found Naruto's katana humming dangerously close to his head with Hinata's chakra-infused palm also dangerously close to his child maker. He found himself safe from their wrath thanks to Tetsuyo and Kurenai holding the both of them off. Easy you two, Tetsuyo said, trust me, the kid ain't worth it. The two released them as they stopped struggling, even if they did so reluctantly. Sasuke growled, hearing that he wasn't worth it. What do you mean? I'm an Uchiha, we are worthy of anything. Tetsuyo chuckled, not believing he's hearing this. Kid, let me get you in on a little secret. Suddenly his expression turned serious, surprising everyone there a bit with the attitude change. There are those who say that they can do it and those that actually can do it. You say that you want to avenge your clan waving your kunai knife around when there are others that won't give two shits about your little ambition. You bitch and moan, but you don't even bother to hone your skills. You expect respect, but when they don't give it, you whine and bitch about it and eventually try and kill them with their backs turned. When you have that knife, it makes you feel like a man just to hold it, but in really, all you remain is just a pussy with a knife in his hand. And that's what you are, a pussy with a knife in his hand. The contractor sneered, looking at the teen who was just seething at every word he just heard. Pissed, Sasuke grabbed a kunai out of his pouch and yelled, charging at him fast. Just as he got only a foot away from him though, Tetsuyo vanished with such speed, he confused the Uchiha when Sasuke found his kunai missing. Said kunai was then lodged into the Uchiha's shoulder. jammed into the joint, causing the team to scream his head off with the pain that came from the wound. Tetsuya could only look at Sasuke with a piercing glare. Like I said, just a pussy with a knife in his hand. Sasuke was seething seeing this guy look down on him like he was nothing, insulting him. Grabbing the kunai with his uninjured hand, he grunted as he took it out of his shoulder. Then he felt something on his back. It was Kakashi with the foot of his crutch at the base of his neck. Sasuke, you stop now or you will be detained for the rest of the mission, got it? Kakashi glared, having enough of the Uchiha's attitude. Tetsuya smiled at Hitaki. Thank you, Hitaki-san. Is he always like this? The boy has some mental issues. Apparently the shrinks aren't doing their jobs, Kakashi whispered. Shinobi or civilians? Responds the lawyer. Kakashi could only slap his palm to his face in realization in what they are doing wrong. Tetsuya chuckled, shaking his head before walking towards Naruto. Okay kid, remember, your fight is in 5 days, be ready by then. Hey, it's for a righteous reason, right? Naruto said. Tetsuya could only laugh at the words as he walked off. Time skip, forest area. For the past 4 days, Kakashi was teaching his team the tree climbing exercise, while Sakura and Sasuke, as well as Kiba, because out of the whole of Kurenai's team, he almost has it perfectly down. Meanwhile, Shino went to practicing his water walking while bug collecting as Hinata and Naruto went to spar with each other while water walking, considering those three has completed that exercise already. Kurenai watched over them as she was fascinated by Hinata's progress. To parry the chakra katana of Naruto's, Hinata used her Jiyuken to repel and block the chakra used in the sword. It's amazing, Naruto, rumored to be the worst student, comes out as one of the greatest prodigies and swordsmen in the village, and Hinata, no longer, or has never been the shy stuttering girl, but confident, if not, flirtatious girl with a bit of Anko's tendencies. I hope that Anko didn't do anything to her to make her this way, Kurenai thought as she watched the two ninjas spar. And every so often, she noticed Hinata giving Naruto a few flirty winks while the red-tipped blonde gave Hinata a couple playful slaps on her ass. In all honesty, while she knew of their relationship, but she never had realized how far into it they were. At least now she had at least some idea. Okay, you three, Naruto, Hinata, stand down, Shino, stop what you're doing and get over here. Let's get back to the cabin, Kurenai ordered. Hearing this, Naruto sheathed his sword, Hinata released her stance, and Shino closed the box that carried various species of insects that come from this forest. Going back, they saw the other half of the two groups. Sakura, even though she completed the tree climbing some time ago, kept going at it. Even after the training that Kakashi had her go through, Sakura's strength has increased, but this training will increase her small chakra reserves. Kiba got it after asking Sakura how she did it before he lost it. Sasuke, he was still having some trouble. Even after Sakura tried to offer some help when Kiba asked her, he just ignored her, saying he doesn't need any help. He got about halfway up the tree before he started to slip. By then he took the advice he tried to ignore and started to get better now, and kept going until he got up to the top. As everyone was finished with training for the day, Tsunami had everyone get to the kitchen, dining room for dinner. Among the family and team there was a little boy named Inari, who looked no more than 10, who earlier commented when Naruto was in bed that they were going to die. Apparently he has some daddy issues ever since his father was killed by God a few years back. And ever since then, he was a pessimist, believing that there are no heroes in this world. At least that's what Tazuna told Naruto. Unfortunately, during the whole time as they ate, the atmosphere felt pretty bleak among the residents and visitors of the house. Especially from Inari, who was staring at Naruto, who was eating like nothing was wrong, keeping his eyes closed as he chewed his food. Cracking his left eye open, he spied the kid glaring at him pretty darkly for a kid. "What's wrong, kid? Something on my face?" Naruto asked to lighten up the mood. But the question only did the opposite effect as Inari glared at him even more. "Hey kid," Inari was it. "I know that I have a good face, but you staring at me like that is really making me uncomfortable." Inari just slammed his hands on the table in frustration. "Inari." Tsunami scolded her son, but he ignored it. "How can you just sit there when all of you are gonna die?" Naruto just laughed it off with everyone looking at him. "Well, of course we're going to die, I mean after all we are human. I know a guy off my street in my village that's like 60 and he's still kicking strong and healthy despite him looking like crap." "Grr," Inari growled, "that's not what I meant. I mean Gato is going to kill you all. The red-tipped blonde still chuckled. Kid, what's some pudgy fat ass going to do to a ragtag team of ninjas? I mean all he has is money that he just waves around for a bunch of bandits and mercs while we are trained killers. Well, more me than most of the genins in my generation. It doesn't matter, argued the boy against Naruto's retort. You're all going to get killed by him, no matter how hard you try. Naruto just gave a bored look while the rest of the ninjas there kept irritating the boy even more. I just can't stand you. You people who can't even understand what we are going through. I'm willing to bet that you live like a king not even knowing how it feels to live like this. Oh shit, popped the thought of most of the ninjas there while Sasuke just kept eating. Naruto's smile turned from amused to unpleased as he looked at Inari with impassive eyes. Kid, trust me when I say this, don't go judging others. Especially when your current situation is practically the story of my life. Yeah right, Inari said, tears nearly leaking out. Then tell me kid, do you what it feels like to be alone in your life for over 10 years before you were born? Naruto said, getting up close, surprising everyone except the Junins. Did you have to go through living in the orphanage where they only give you table scraps or even near inedible food found in the trash? Have you ever been chased down by a fucking mob in your own village, not even knowing why the fuck they're even chasing you? Naruto yelled, making Inari shiver at the increasing volume of the fox-eyed ninja. Trust me, when I tell you this, you don't know the kind of life I had to go through before my parentage was revealed to everybody now, Naruto snarled. And now they know who I am. The ones who tried to kill me either kiss my ass or just try and deny who I am. The teenage swordsman gets up and starts to walk out of the house. Don't even say that you had a worse life than me kid. 'Cause there are others who had it worse. He walked out and slammed the door, making everyone jump. Soon after, Hinata gets up and bows to Tazuna and his family before chasing after her boyfriend. As soon as Hinata shuts the door, Inari runs to his room bawling his eyes out. Sasuke leaves to the boys' guest quarters, and Tazuna turns to Kakashi and asks, was his life really that bad? That and worse, Kakashi answered. That seriously happened. Kiba exclaims, not believing what he heard. Kiba, remember that there are reasons why he had to go through that, Shino reminded him. Kiba growled, but he remembered. After the Mizuki incident, he went to talk to his mother and sister about it since they were there during the Kyuubi attack. Sume Inuzuka had told him of everything that she and Hana had tried to do to help him, from rescues to even helping him in the basic studies that he recalled Naruto getting kicked out of those lessons. And during all this remembrance, he just felt like an ass for ridiculing on the half-blonde when he saw him screw up a simple transformation jutsu. Sakura there felt even worse and angry at her parents, who was a formerly brainwashed girl into thinking Naruto was a bad person she shouldn't be around with. She remembered about the first time when she was helped by Naruto all those years ago when they were kids at the village park. After meeting the fox boy for the first time, her mother found her playing with Naruto, and one could figure how that went out without saying. Then after the whole Mizuki incident, she too had a talk with her parents, though not speaking to her mother until her father came back from the council meeting. She could remember the remorse kind of look on his face, and for some reason couldn't look at his daughter in the face. When they finally talked at dinner, well, let's just say that the wife left the Haruno residence in denial after a familial dispute between mother and daughter. Sakura does see her every so often, but they never spoke unless it was necessary. Kakashi sighed. His childhood was something that shouldn't have happened to somebody innocent like him at his age. The fact I personally had to save him from time to time as an Anbu along with a few of my fellow Anbu comrades disgusts me. Not that I had any problem with Naruto, but the fact that nearly the whole village was in on the nightly lynching Naruto had to run from. Tsunami couldn't help but gasp at this shocking information. Why didn't the Hokage do anything? He did, Kakashi answered, and from then Naruto kept up a mask hiding his abilities. Kakashi-sensei, how do you know all this? Sakura asked. Because I was one of his watchers before I got demoted from Anbu to Junin by the council after breaking up a mob, charged with assaulting a council member who was in said mob when he was 7, Kakashi said sadly, earning a gasp from Sakura and a shocked response from Kiba and Akamaru and a faint buzzing from the Aburame. Kurenai could only sympathize with him, seeing how her friend in the IT division, Anko, was ousted and spat upon by the Konoha populace after her betrayal with her sensei, Orochimaru. Wave Forest. Hinata went to follow her boyfriend farther into the forest that they trained in. And steadily, she found trees covered in slashes in the wood. And those slashes became more and more in the trees the farther she went into the forest. About another 10 minutes of searching and she found Naruto, passed out on a tree with his back sitting down on a tree exhausted and sleeping, and his weapon only inches off his person, only missing its usual crimson chakra blade from the guard with his sheath on his other side. But then she found something peculiar, or rather someone. A girl with waist-length long brown hair in a pink kimono with sakura petal designs at the foot of the kimono. Hooked around her arm was basket of flowers. The girl of interest had placed her hand on Hinata's boy's whiskered cheek, but for a second there, it looked like she was hanging her hand near his neck. The touch had woken up the young swordsman, and the first thing he sees is a black-haired girl just about the same age as him. "You know, if you sleep here, you're going to catch a cold," the girl told him with a kind smile on her face. Naruto looked at her with a warm smile of his own, making the girl blush a bit. "It's okay, I've lived worse than this." "So what are you doing here, ninja-san?" the girl asked. "I believe it is polite to introduce yourself before you ask a total stranger," Naruto replied. She respectfully bowed. "I'm sorry, my name is Haku, and you?" "Naruto Haku-san, and as for your question." Naruto gave out a frustrated sigh. "I'm just venting a bit." Haku looked around the area. "Damn, if this is a bit, then I would hate to see full-out mad." "What could have made you do this?" Haku asked, motioning to the wounded trees. Naruto grabbed the hilt of his sword, which activated at his touch, and put it back in its sheath and inhales deeply through his nose and told him all that happened a few hours ago. "Well, Haku-san, I told you my reasons, now what about yours, especially with those flowers you have there?" Naruto inquired, eyeing the basket of wild flowers and herbs hooked under her arm. Haku looked away for a split second and looked into Naruto's blue eyes. "It's for my precious person who was harmed by Gato and his thugs not too long ago." "From Gato and his goons, or from me?" Naruto responds. "What are you?" "It's for Zabuza, isn't it?" Haku's breath hitched in shock with her eyes widening. "How did you know?" "Your kimono on the right shoulder has a stitched seam when my katana sliced a bit of your battle kimono you wore over your current attire." Haku took her free hand to quickly cover said stitch. "Let's not forget your scent of water and lilacs. Just like the cloth of your battle kimono. I still have it as a memento." The Jinchuriki eyed Haku a bit more, catching the full beauty of her form when it's not too covered by her battleware, "And besides, your voice also gave you away. Even after the first meeting, I rarely forget a voice." "I see, so why didn't you attack me when you had the chance?" Haku asked in a professional tone. Naruto chuckled. "We all have a choice, right? You didn't strangle me when you woke me up." Haku couldn't help but look away, blushing. "Hey, it's okay. No need to be embarrassed, Haku-chan." "Haku-chan?" She blushed even harder at the name he's given her. "You're beautiful, you know," said Naruto. "I need to go and take these to Zabuza-sama," Haku said quickly, trying to get away, but she stopped when she felt Naruto's hand on her wrist. "Before you go, I have to ask, why you work for someone like Zabuza?" Haku looked downcast a bit and turned her attention to her feet, going through her memories. "He saved me." "What do you mean?" "I was born in Kiri, where there was a bloodline purge. Practically all of Kiri had ousted and killed any and all types of bloodline holders that lived within that village." "And you carry a bloodline yourself, a Kekkei Genkei," Naruto concluded. "Yes," Haku confirmed for him. "My mother had a Kekkei Genkei that she kept hidden for so long. To prove this, she used her chakra and created an icicle which she threw, embedding itself halfway into a nearby tree." "An elemental bloodline," Naruto realized. "I discovered my bloodline when I was 7 and I showed my mother what I could do. But she was horrified rather than proud, not because she thought I was an abomination, but because of my father, and told me to hide what I could do," Haku continued. Hinata, still within hearing distance, hearing her story, could tell where this was going, shed some tears as she listened to more of this ice maiden's sad past. "But the secrets could not go on, as my father found out eventually. He and several other villagers killed my mother in front of me and proceeded to do the same to me until—" Haku broke off, unable to say it as she bit her lip, trying to fight back the tears threatening to come out. "You made your first kills instinctively, as an act of self-defense, right?" Naruto finished for her before he embraced her in a hug. "It's okay, just let it out," Naruto soothed her as she cried. After a few minutes he let go, allowing her to wipe the tears, before she went to leave. "Haku." She stopped once more, hearing the red-tipped blonde's voice. "You don't have to serve Zabuza, you know. you can come with us to Konoha where bloodlines like yours are accepted. I would love to, but Zabuza-sama saved my life. I at least owe him that until I become useless to him. It doesn't have to be that way, Naruto tried to convince her. You can try and convince him to come with us. Haku looked at him once more and shot a sincere smile at him. You know, if we met in different circumstances, we probably would have been friends, maybe even more. With that Shimizu shunshined away with a splash and she was gone with only a puddle of water from where she stood. Hinata, you can come out now? Hinata revealed herself. So how long have you known I was there? Thanks to Q-chan's enhancement, I have better senses, almost as good as an Inuzuka. When I inhaled her scent, I smelled a bit of yours little ways off. Well, I do say that I approve of her, if she accepts the invite to our family, Hinata says. As do I, Naruto-kun, Kyuubi tells him, and from what I saw from here, she has a nice rack and ass I sink my teeth into. She continues on licking her lips in lust. Naruto couldn't help but hold his nose at the mention of Kyuubi's words, but in retrospect, he saw that coming considering that he has a hot vixen inside him who hasn't had any since her imprisonment and wouldn't have any until he allows it. Hinata took notice of this too. Q-chan? She's just horny, Naruto told her, getting a cute fox while from Kyuubi. Well then maybe our first night can be a threesome, what do you say? Hinata insisted. By then, let's just say for 5 seconds perverted thoughts were coming to him from Kyuubi's perverted mind at the Hyuga's offer, which jetted him head first backwards into a tree via nosebleed, knocking him out apparently. In which case, Hinata took the pleasure of getting her boyfriend to Tazuna's thinking of a way to explain this to the others. Time skip. Nothing but an open field, an endless prairie filled with small flowers along the endless path. He hears a slight humming tune behind him. He turns and feels a pain in his chest. He didn't find anyone but his own katana in his chest to the hilt. Then the pain was gone. He finds himself now into the garden once more holding his katana. Welcome to the Garden of Madness, bellowed an ominous voice behind him, forcing him turn around once more. An entity flies toward him in such speeds in tattered black robes wielding a scythe. He couldn't block in time and found himself flying from his legs as he flew with a trail of blood leading from his torso, connecting to his legs. And then, Tazuna's house. Naruto woke up with a shock, jolting himself upright, finding his location in his futon shirtless in one of Tazuna's rooms. He looks around for his effects and eyes his katana sheathed upon his shirt and coat nearby his futon, finding a note. Naru-kun, we went ahead to the bridge to check on something. Someone was spotted on the bridge and it could be Zabuza. Come as soon as you can. Hinata. He puts his shirt and coat on and grabs his katana, slipping it in one of his belt loops. Then, he heard a crash and a loud scream. Downstairs, Tsunami was being bound by 2 swordsmen. One was shirtless and had an eye patch, the other wore a teal jacket and a beanie cap. Let my mommy go, Inari yelled at them, holding up a kitchen knife pointed at them. The 2 thugs just laughed as the one with the cap grabbed his sword ready to kill the kid. Wait, Tsunami begged, don't. If you harm him, then I'll bite my tongue off and drown myself in my own blood. Leave the brat alone. Gato said he wanted the woman. It wouldn't do any good if she's dead, said the swordsman with the eye patch. His partner didn't move for a few seconds until he turned to him lazily, only to fall with the head rolling from its body to the eye-patched swordsman's position. He looked at the head in shock and found an unfamiliar blonde teen with red tips in black with a red glowing katana. But as soon as he blinked, he was decapitated as well. Tsunami and Inari ran to each other for an embracing hug, Inari full of tears. Naruto walked towards the door before he spoke. Inari, that there was what a real hero is. You may think that there are no more heroes in this world, but you just proved yourself wrong. But me, I'm no hero, just a killer assassin out to be the #1 assassin. He walked out to head over to the bridge, but not before noticing the many killers brandishing weapons, just like last time. Time to kill. Naruto grabbed the hilt and charged the first merc and killed him, charging him, slicing him in half with a quick draw. He smiled as the blood splashed his face. Death metal. Tazuna's bridge, in construction. Tazuna watched the battle going on as Sakura guarded him while Hinata and Sasuke went after the masked hunter Nin, both of whom were trapped within a dome of ice mirrors, while Kakashi and Kurenai fought Zabuza, fighting practically blind due to the mist which was in Zabuza's area of expertise in assassination. But the one he watched that was looking at him intently was the spiky 50-something shirtless red head that had his hand holding onto what Tazuna presumed was his weapon. Then he remembered, that must be that death metal person that he was talking about, so he's the one waiting for that kid. Will that brat be able to beat him though? Sasuke and Hinata were doing their best to keep up. More the Uchiha than the Hyuga due to his cockiness beforehand when Haku pulled out one of her Hyuten techniques. As for Hinata, she had already known about Haku's identity underneath the mask and has knowledge of her bloodline. Still, that doesn't make up the fact that she had difficulty of dodging the ice senbons. Obviously Haku has great accuracy, almost as good, maybe even better, than Neji's teammate Tenten. But Hinata had enough of this charade and decided to try end this before Naruto got to the bridge with them. Using her Byakugan, she looked under the Hunter Nin's mask and found that Haku was aiming at both hers and Sasuke's knockout points. Haku-chan, she's only aiming to knock us out. Is it possible that she doesn't have the urge to kill us, or is it because we're affiliated with Naruto-kun? With Junins, Kakashi, Kurenai, and Zabuza watched as their charges fought against each other. At the same time, Kakashi and Kurenai were surprised to see that Zabuza had stopped attacking them. For the past 10 minutes their kids fought, and all the mist Nuke Nin did after covering himself in another thick shroud of mist, keeping his hand on his Kubori Hocho, deciding whether to attack or not. Kakashi, Zabuza spoke, said Junin's attention. Your kid, Naruto, was it? He said something to my apprentice, giving us asylum within Konoha. Can he do that? I don't know, maybe. He has some pull with the Sandame. Why? Kakashi asked suspiciously. Only then did the Nuke Nin let his hand off of his sword. I've had enough of this, the traveling, the running, the scrounging. I only took this up for then money for us. And Haku, she's like a daughter to me, despite how I act. So if he can, even if I die, I want your little swordsman to take care of her, take her to Konoha with him. She has no record as a ninja, so she should be alright to immigrate there. You've gone to care for her, didn't you? Kurenai summarized. Hey, I took her in after her family was killed and found her sitting on a bridge as I was leaving Kiri, Zabuza explained. At first it was to make her into a weapon for my own use, but now, I've grown attached to her too much to see her that way. Feeling the red-headed killer's aura, the Junins there turned to him as he walked towards the aisle between their grounds and the Genins, whom they too felt his presence. He's here, said the ninth assassin. Must be talking about the Uzumaki kid, Zabuza said to no one in particular. Kakashi and Kurenai were stunned as they watched the red-headed man walking towards the center of the unfinished bridge as the man leaked out his killer aura. Will Naruto be able to kill someone with this much killer intent? Sasuke and Hinata were on the ropes while they were trapped within Haku's ice mirror technique. And every so often, Haku, who was within the mirror, would shift through mirror to mirror while hailing them with senbon needles, which they could barely block as they slashed through their cloths and protruding in non-vital points in the body. It was until they felt the red-headed man walk in between them and the Junins did they stop fighting, and Haku dispelled her ice mirrors, feeling the man's aura. While Haku and Hinata just stood there shaking, Sasuke could barely stand seeing a man who could possibly beat his brother in his mind. Few ways off of the unfinished bridge, Naruto walked away from the chopped-up bodies he left behind him as he headed towards his destination at the unfinished bridge. Again he heard a whizzing sound away from him and out of instinct caught a small object like last time, a tiny earpiece. He placed it in his right ear and walked the trail as he heard Tetsuyo's voice once more. Hey Naruto, here we are once again about to ascend to the ranks, or are you going to die and get your ass handed to hell? No matter, after all we have to die at least some time in our life. This may be that time for you or him. Either way, I checked the statistics of your chance of survival. You didn't hear this from me, but these say that there is at most a 99.9999% chance of you dying. Hey, not much of a confidence builder, right? But you have been able to fuck with Lady Luck for your whole life. Hell, she might even have your kids by now, because it's a fucking miracle about how you were able to get through your shitty life. No offense though. Well, when you're ready, get your ass over there. The fight doesn't start until you step on that bridge. Go, fight, win, and head towards the Garden of Madness. Naruto pulled it out and threw it away before it blew up in a small inaudible boom. Let's go motherfucker. Unfinished bridge. Naruto finally arrived near the bridge as he saw Team 7, 8, Tazuna, Zabuza and Haku standing at the start of the bridge. So feeling a bit stylish, he ran and gave a chakra-powered jump and landed right in front of his opponent, Death Metal. "So you finally arrived," said Death Metal. "Hey, you shouldn't have sent so many guys after me," Naruto replied. The ninth assassin took notice of the katana to Naruto's side and chuckled. "You know, in all my life as an assassin, I never killed someone as young as you, so I'll give you a choice: leave now and I'll spare your life. And leave you to kill the old man and have that fat douchebag fuck up this country more than he has already has. Sorry dude, but the only one leaving here is you, in a body bag," Naruto retorted. Death Metal glared this time. "I'll say this once more, leave here now." "Obviously you don't know me," retorts the smaller swordsman. "You don't get it, do you? What's there to get? After all, we assassins are living in paradise, with so many people to kill," Naruto retorts. "This is no paradise," Death Metal calmly denied. "Alright, then what would you call this?" Naruto asked, eagerly waiting for his answer. "A place to die," answered Death Metal. "Well, at least we're on the same page here," Naruto commented. Death Metal could only pinch the bridge of his nose. "So naive, you have no idea, do you? I pity you. You know, arrogant, crude little shits like you come around from time to time," says Death Metal, circling around him with Naruto matching his steps away from him. "So listen well. The wall is high, higher than you can imagine. Ultimate sacrifice is sublime." Death Metal activated his weapon as it flipped, turned, and extended. "That sword, it's just as big as Zabuza's, it even has a chakra edge like Naruto's blade," Kakashi thought. "Draw," Death Metal exclaims, pointing his blade at Naruto. Naruto unsheathes his sword with a quick draw and holds it in a high position. "You can take that to your grave." As if a gong sounded, Naruto made the first move as the red-headed assassin charged as well, with his weapon resting on his shoulder, attacking Death Metal with slashes which was easily blocked and then parried. Death Metal came in with his attacks, a downward chop which Naruto dodged to the side and back flipped several times to avoid an oncoming onslaught of slashes with a right slash finisher. Then he pounced to land on Naruto, but the red blonde jumped back as he kept guard as his sword was hit by Death Metal, only to be knocked back with a gash on his right forearm, but not before seeing that flash again. "Okay, I get it, dodge the flashes." Death Metal charged in this time and slashed with a horizontal half-moon slash, only to miss when Naruto jumped and attacked with a spinning slash which hit with success and gave a cut along his chest. Once Naruto landed, both clashed weapons in a power struggle but ended in a draw when the two of them kicked away from the other's foot and slid away from each other. Both stared at each other with intent to kill the other as their first bloods oozed from their respective wound. Impressive, but there is still room to improve, young one. Death Metal attacked as did Naruto, and with speed out of nowhere, their weapons parried in rapid succession. As the redhead tried to cleave Naruto's head off, the young swordsman quickly ducked and slid in a position in his shadow and hit him with a razing slash which Death Metal tried to dodge, but not without leaving a cut vertically on the left side of his torso, with the blood following the katana. The ninth assassin, out of striking distance of his opponent, took his wounded hand and swiped some blood from the intersection of the long cuts on his chest and took a sample taste and grinned. "Well fuck, you're one of the few to make me glad to hopefully die at your hands." Getting back to his default stance, he spit in three as it looked like three identical figures split from one man. "No way, he can use cage buncheons?" Naruto exclaimed out loud in surprise, and then quickly grinned. "Well, if he wants to play that way." The 10th assassin summons up two other cage buncheons to even the field and at the same time, use what's necessary and conserve chakra in case of any surprises, despite using extra chakra to keep the two clones longer. "Hey, if you think that these two are just mere shadow clones, you are sorely mistaken, you little shit," Death Metal challenged. Naruto, not one to refuse a challenge, sent his two clones at the Elder Swordsman's copies. The outcome was not as expected. Clone Group A. When Naruto aimed for a stab at his opponent's heart, Death Metal took the blow in his good arm instead. Instead of poofing out of existence, it stayed there, with the chakra in the katana still humming in his now bleeding wound through his arm. Naruto looked at the original and saw that there was no similar wound on his arm, and neither the other clone. Using his brief moment of shock, Death Metal slid his blade under him with the edge towards Naruto and swiped it with a powerful swing through the waist, making it disappear in a cloud of smoke, sending back the information to the original Naruto. Clone Group B. Same time, Naruto had the same idea as his fellow clone, except this time death metal had taken it in his left shoulder, getting the same reaction as their twins. He took grasp of Naruto's arm with the hand of the wounded shoulder, trapping him there. Using his other hand to hold his sword, he takes it overhead and swings it vertically from the head down. That would have bisected him in half had it not disappear in smoke like his fellow clone, relaying its memories to the original number 10. Naruto felt fear before when he was younger, but this wasn't like the fear in the village lynchings he had. This was a fear he couldn't put on the tip of his tongue. This fear had also added something else in him. "You're trembling, young one. Don't tell me you're scared?" Naruto was visibly trembling as he answered the question and smiled with a growing craze. "Of course I'm scared. I'm scared of dying here by a worthy opponent like you. But to fight a fellow assassin with that itch to kill, it just gives that anxiety and urge for me to reach the top. So bring it on." The three death metals charged with the original in the center, jumping at Naruto with a chop. The red-tipped blonde jumped back to dodge with the huge cleaver getting stuck in the bridge. The two clones on the other hand followed up with an assault of slashes, themselves having Naruto block and parry left and right. Naruto gave a roundhouse kick to the right death metal clone, knocking him back while sliding behind the second clone, and hit it with a combo barrage of slashes and ending it with a finishing blow to the neck, forcing it to fade into nothingness. Hearing a battle cry, the clone he knocked away came at him with a jumping slash which was dodged as well, rolling backwards. Acting fast, Naruto got on his feet and charged in fast with the death metal clone into a power clash. Just as he was about to win the clash though, the original's cleaver slashed the two in half as the original death metal slashed through, using the double's blind spot to hide himself. But all wasn't done as he noticed Uzumaki's body landing, sounding in only wood clunks. Turning to the body, he found not a bloody heap, but a bundle of wood planks. His eye widened when his vision suddenly went to the teen's blue semi-slit eyes sliding in front of him, catching the elder assassin of guard, barely blocking the powerful strikes of the young swordsman. And after the dreaded mistake of missing Naruto's head as the teen ducked the strike, Naruto sidestepped and came up with a rising slash to both arms, dismembering his two limbs. The huge cleaver of a sword flew off with its owner's hand still gripping it, landed right in front of the spectators, blade down. Both fighters knew it was over as one of them was unarmed and both were breathing heavily as the two looked at each other straight in the eye. "Extraordinary," death metal spoke in satisfaction. "You have been the one I've been waiting for. The name, Holy Sword, is now yours. Despite my title as the Crimson Prince, I couldn't take your name. Instead I'll keep your sword, as a memento, as you will be unable to wield a weapon anytime soon," Naruto retorted. "Then before you take my life, let me give you some advice. Master the ways of the assassin, for there will be roadblocks on your way to the top, doing things you would think twice of, things you would be ever thinking of doing." "Thanks, I'll take that in mind." With that, Naruto delivered the killing blow, cutting off death metal's head with lots of blood spurting out from the head and the body. Back with the watchers, many different thoughts were going through their heads. "Naruto-kun, you are amazing," thought Hinata. "Naruto-kun, I swear, I'll make it up to you, for all the things I've done to you, Sakura. Damn, I wouldn't want to face him if I have to, Kiba. Naruto-san has a powerful aura on him, has my Kikai restless, is that him or the Kyuubi within him, Shino? That boy, Naruto, how would he have turned out if he didn't live the life he did? Kurenai, Kakashi, how is that Dobi that strong? Am I really that weak, or is it something else? I swear I'll get that power and kill my brother. The Dobi can't be stronger than an Uchiha, Sasuke. I heard that Uzumakis were powerful swordsmen, but that was unreal. I feel I might piss my pants, but definitely worth it to watch the infamous dark step style in action, Zabuza. Naruto Uzumaki, you are definitely powerful. I am definitely glad to have you as a friend, maybe even more. Gah, what am I thinking? I just met him. I can't be thinking things like that yet. Haku, congratulations, only a month and you still rise in the ranks, said an unfamiliar voice. They looked behind themselves and found a man wearing a white chef's uniform without the hat and sleeves rolled up. Beside him were a couple of the UAA official cleaner crew. Sakura apparently recognized the guy. Wait a minute, aren't you the bun chef back in Konoha? Ichiro, what are you doing here? Where's Tetsuyo? Naruto asked as the cleaners disposed of Death Metal's body through fire jutsus. Tetsuyo has some business in Kumo with the rakeage, so he asked me to temp for him this time. Business is business for that guy, answered Ichiro. Ain't that the truth, Naruto murmured. And as one of the cleaners were about to take away Death Metal's orange too, the now ninth assassin stopped him from taking it, drawing his chakra katana out. Leave the blade, it's mine now. Picking up the blade, Naruto found the switch and collapsed down to a more compactable size and handed it to Ichiro. Do you mind taking this over to my compound? The Konoha chef nodded. Sure, I'll be sure this gets there. And your money will be sent to your bank account once the paperwork has been sorted out and you've officially been registered as the UAA's ninth assassin. HMPH, that guy wasn't much of an assassin. Killed by a fucking kid, said a gruff voice within the other side of the fog. Ah, Gato, good to see you. I was just about to call you and tell you that your contract has been voided due to Death Metal's death, Ichiro said, standing next to Gato. As he rubbed his head at the last statement, he said, wow, that feels weird saying that. Death Metal's death, Death Metal's death. I see. Oh, and Zabuza, speaking of contracts, I'm ending ours. Just considering how expensive missing nin are compared to mercenaries, Gato said over the distance as many weapon-brandishing mercenaries appeared behind him out of the fog. Zabuza just growled while muttering to nobody, at least I took Death Metal's advice about Gato. Gato smirked, let's get things started then, boys, take out the men, and then subdue the girls. They'll make perfect additions to the slave ring. Gato, what do you think you are doing? Asked Ichiro, who was apparently surrounded by Gato's mercs himself. I meant what I said, kill the men, that includes you, can't have anybody oppose me when I take over this town. Gato answered, soon bellowing in laughter only to spit out a coppery liquid out of his mouth a few minutes later. He soon found what he spat out just now, with eyes widening, realizing what it was, blood. He looked to where Ichiro was and hitched his breath seeing the sight he found, 5 or 6 of his men disemboweled, bisected, chopped, and headless in a gory mess. Looking at Ichiro, who was walking towards his opposition brandishing a giant butter knife which he held by the handle, hooking his right arm over the handle with a 3-pronged giant fork in the other hand, his white chef's clothes stained with the blood of his decimated men. Hey Naruto, quick question. With all this blood on me, does this make me look like a butcher? Kill them, shouted Gato in rage, while Ichiro, Naruto, go take a breather. I know you're using all your strength to stand after your fight with Death Metal. But when you get back there, please call over the Junins there to help take out this trash. Naruto did as he asked as the army of mercs drew closer. Just as he began his monologue, Kakashi, Kurenai, and Zabuza appeared next to him via Shunshin. I would have let you go, Gato. But you forced my hand in threatening me with your men, so just to warn you, get ready to die. Meanwhile in Kumo, the dark-skinned muscled Raikage of Kumogakure was currently lifting weights with his barbells as he was waiting for his 3 o'clock appointment. In there waiting with him was the Raikage's brother Karabi, was currently scribbling down notes for his rapping lyrics. Once the door opened, it revealed one Tetsuyo Uchikami carrying a briefcase and straightening his tie. Raikage-sama. Sorry I'm late, but I had some undesirables to take care of, not to mention the filing and paperwork that needed to be taken care of. But anyways, I'm here, what would you like to discuss? The Raikage dropped his dumbbells making a crater from where it landed and walked over to the table where the two of them began their deal. Okay, I'll make this simple. I want one of your best guys to escort my brother, his Genin team, and a Chunin of mine to Konoha for the Chunin exams coming up. Somebody from your top 10. Tetsuyo smirked, knowing the perfect person, I got just the person. Currently he just became our number 9 within our ranks. He opened up his briefcase and searched his files until he found the one he was looking for and handed it over to the Raikage, who opened it for him and his brother to see. But the Raikage felt a bit insulted, not being what he expected. What is this shit? You expect me to believe that he can get the job done? I'm gonna have to agree with bro on this guy. Looking at him, it's kinda hard to buy, said Karabi. I know, he's a bit young, but it's only been a few months since he entered our ranks and defeated our former 10 and 9. With number 9 being his recent kill. As you can see, he's not a beginner in the ways of death, explained Tetsuyo. Leave, obviously the UAA is not as it used to be, said the Raikage, making his way to the door out of his office. But just as he laid his hand on the handle of his door, did I forget to mention he is the son of our former number 1? The Raikage stopped for a second, I'm listening. The contractor smirked, gotcha, you see, our current number 9 is the son of our former number 1. And who was she? asked the lightning shadow. She used to be known as the Red Queen, but I believe to you ninjas, she had another name, the Red Death aka Kushina Uzumaki. Kurabi did a double take, holy shit, the Red Death, I didn't think that she had a son, if this kid is an Uzumaki and a UAA fighter. Hey bro, what you thinking now? Asked Kurabi. The Raikage pondered a bit, an Uzumaki, and one so young, I like the possibilities here, maybe. Okay, we have a deal, but first, I would like to know this boy's name. Tetsuyo smirked once more, Naruto Uzumaki, the Crimson Prince. And as for the price, that will come to 190,650 Ryu. The Raikage's eyes bulged out a bit, what the fuck? Tetsuyo shrugged then smiled, hey, that's what you get for extra info. So if we are done here, let us sign the papers and he will be here within a week.
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.